Baldwin. Dunkin' Donuts. Well, Howard's here. Guess on which one? How are you? How are you? I'm alive. I woke up this morning ill.
Good afternoon. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, May 10th, 2 p.m. meeting. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
Just to reiterate what I say at every session of the board, the protocol to be followed is we first ask for adjournments. In those cases, we will hear before any other cases are called. So Patrick will call the adjournments, if any, first. If not, we will go through the calendar in numerical order. What we do is the applicant will come up, make their case. If there are any objectors, the objectors will be given the opportunity to voice their objections, and then we will call upon the applicant or the applicant's representative to conclude their presentation. Everything is live streamed. Everything is taken down. We have a court reporter here. So we would respectfully request that nobody talk over anybody else, because the court reporter can only hear one person at a time. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I do not currently have any applications for adjournment. Is there anybody here that has any applications?
First case.
Okay. First, we have case 28523, Elmont. Amelet Lundy, doing business as Deus Restaurant, Bar and Lounge Incorporated. Variance in off-street parking, proposed restaurant in an existing building, also known as 475 Hempstead Turnpike. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please take a seat and state your name and address in the microphone.
I think it is. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is James Murphy. I'm an attorney, and I appear here this afternoon on behalf of the applicant. And we move under Town Code Article 31, Section 319, for a variance for accessory parking regulations. This location, a former restaurant, is applying now, again, as well. The petition is different, but they're applying to be a restaurant here. Previously was a restaurant there. I will note that in the past, this board, an early iteration, obviously, in July 28 of 2004, did grant the variance being requested here this morning. They did it conditionally for 5 years. I'm sure the board has the record of that. There's only seven parking spaces available, but behind the building, there's a parking lot that can hold 60 vehicles in it. This restaurant is a permitted use in the zone. It is a business zone, and it's surrounded by commercial users and business users, as well as retail stores. It is the assertion of the petitioner that the grant will not cause any traffic congestion or undue street parking, and that the petitioner has met the standards of town law, Section 267, for a use variance, in that the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return because the restriction is substantial. He would have no business, essentially, without the parking variance and allowing the customers to park in the back.
Counselor?
Yes?
If I understood you, you said that this was an existing restaurant, but failed to
Previous,
do
previous.
a renewal?
Right now, it's vacant.
It was the same spot, same location?
Yes,
Same store.
475 Hempstead Turnpike.
And it was originally granted with what type of variances, if any?
It was, the parking variance was granted with the restriction that they had to come back in 5 years. I don't have the restrictions on it, I just have the decision, which refers to them. And I think that's what, it was just a temporary
Okay. Do you
grant
have
at
the
that
dec-
time.
Do you have that decision with you? The previous decision?
Yes, I think I do. I was going to take a couple of minutes to find it, but I do believe I have it.
Wait.
Did you say that this, the premises that you're here about, 475B, was previously a restaurant?
Yes, at some point.
What was it most recently?
Now it's vacant.
What was it before it was vacant?
Unknown.
Okay, and then you mentioned something about a parking field with 60 spots in it?
Yes, behind, directly around the corner and attached to the row of stores on Hempstead Turnpike in this neighborhood is a huge parking lot. It has at least 60 spots.
Is this the one denoted as Town of Hempstead Municipal Lot with 155 parking spots?
Okay,
Or are
then-
you referring to a different one?
No, that's probably it then. My number is wrong. It's right behind the buildings.
I see, I just wanted to make sure.
Sorry, thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Murphy, your notice of decision, which you just submitted, references case number 624 of 2000.
Oh, is that right?
Of 2004,
Oh,
which is for a
2004.
waiver of off-street parking. In connection with that, there was case number 623, and that was granted by the board with conditions, and the application was to use part of premise for kerosene heater sales and repair in the rear of the building with a rear yard variance.
Doesn't it talk, I don't have it in front of me, I didn't bring a copy, so you have the only one I have. Doesn't it talk about the parking,
Not-
a variance for
This
parking?
is, it says a waiver of off-street parking, but it doesn't, part two is not attached. You can show that back, please.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, and then in, that was in 2004. 2002, there was a case 792, which indicates it was Hempstead Dry Cleaners, care of Louis Franquique, use part of premise for machine-operated laundry and drop-off service. That was also granted with a condition in 5 years. And going back to 1958, case number 62458, use basement for job printing, and a variance required for proposed addition to the building in 1958. I don't see anything about it having been a restaurant.
Okay, I understood that that's what it was previous,
Okay.
but that could be an error. I had no idea about a laundry, however, I wasn't told about that.
I just
And-
wanted to
Thank you, yeah, no,
help you out and make the record clear.
thank you.
You're welcome. Robert.
Sir, just to get some numbers on the record. So the proposed restaurant, if I'm reading this correctly, anticipates 68 seats with a parking calculation, the numerator's 3 plus 2, I presume those 2 are for employees or something. So that apparently here, I'm not doing the math myself, but I'm going by the math that's contained on the site plan G102, that the total parking requirement for this proposal would be 25 spots. So says this document. And in looking on the same site plan, plot plan, it doesn't have a name, site plan, I see tax lot 533, which has around, I don't know what all these arounds are here, around 155 parking spots with 8 accessible parking stalls. Obviously, there are other places in the building, but at the end of the day, we're talking about, because we always have to deal in what the variance is we're talking about granting. So right now, we're talking about granting a 25-spot, actually waiver, because you have none, right? No off-street parking of your own that's attributable to this facility, right?
That's
All
right.
the parking would be utilizing the municipal
Behind,
lot.
that's right.
So this is a 25-spot waiver. The reason it matters to get the numbers on record is because if we grant a 25-spot waiver and/or variance for this establishment, that usually runs with it. So if someone came in later and wanted to put in something that required 35 spots, they would be coming before us for a 10-spot variance. So the number actually matters. That's why I'm trying to put on the record the request. So right now, it's a 25-spot waiver that is being requested with, obviously, a lot of the parking there in that public lot. Right. Oh, is that accurate?
If you're reading from the record, if you're reading from the
I'm
document
reading
you have in
from
front
this
of you,
material
I don't
sub-
disagree.
Well, I'm reading from the materials submitted by the applicant, and by way of example, oftentimes the applicant may have a different opinion than does the building department about the number of
Yes.
spots required. So I'm going by the applicant's materials, which say 25. So if we were inclined to grant this, we would be considering granting a 25-spot variance. Now, if the building department actually determined 35 were needed, then that would be an issue for the applicant, because we granted a 25 and they still need 10 more. You see what I'm saying? So
I do.
the only reason I wanted to get the numbers right is to keep all of everyone's ducks in a row.
Appreciate
So-
that, thank you. I'd
No.
also point out that the use of this building would be more intense after business hours. So I believe that there would be more spots that would be freed up behind the building. Of the 155, there would be less usage of those spots during the prime hours and days of the operation of this business.
Given that a number of businesses will be sharing the municipal lot, can you just give us some idea of the hours of operation that the applicant plans?
Yeah, I think they're planning to do afternoon, I shouldn't say early, afternoon, dinner hours, and into the evening. And I believe they're looking at 7 days a week. It might be 6, I'm not
Okay,
sure.
so 7 days a week, we're going to go with noon, 12 o'clock to,
I think you can even go, I think you can go later. Well, 12 o'clock might, in
12
the
o'clock
interest of safety.
PM to what time
Yeah,
in the evening?
I understand. Just say to probably 11 PM, midnight, something like that.
So, at most 12 to 12 every day.
I would say that, yes.
Do they have any music in this?
There won't be any live music, as far as I know. There may be some piped in, internally, Pandora or some such thing.
Is there a bar also?
No.
No alcohol?
I believe they are applying, but...
To serve
they won't-
alcohol.
Just to serve as part of the...
But no bar like that would?
No, no.
All right, so it probably won't go till 12.
Probably not. Yes.
Maybe 9 on the other days, but, and so you think they're applying for an alcohol license, a full alcohol license, do you know?
Probably, sorry to say, I don't really know, but I'm
Okay.
guessing, since it is a restaurant, that it's going to be full alcohol, yeah.
So your live music usually falls, live amplified music usually falls under the cabaret.
Right. It's
So
not,
the
it's not...
client, your client is not applying for a cabaret?
That's correct.
So
That's
whatever
correct.
would otherwise be allowable is the only music they're anticipating?
I'm sorry, what other... I didn't hear the last comment or question.
So given that they are not anticipating live music, and they're not applying for a cabaret, then we're talking about whatever music being that music, which would be non-amplified, that, a jukebox or something, and alcohol license if they get it. There's no bar, one moment. there's no bar that, no, it's okay. There's no bar that, the type of bar where, you know, after the food quits, they're congregating, standing up in a bar, because that would obviously have an impact on the parking calculation as well.
Understood, and no, there's no plan for that.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would
Not-
move that the hearing be closed, that the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Sir, you will be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is an
In
exhibit.
favor?
If you
Opposed,
want
any
to submit it or no?
Yeah, no, we already marked it.
Yeah,
I
remarked
don't know
it,
what the
so,
board
yeah.
wants. Okay. Okay.
Next, we have case 28623 through 29323, Baldwin, West Side Donut Baldwin Ventures LLC. Special exception to install drive-through with pickup window for existing Dunkin' Donuts, variance in off-street parking, install detached illuminated double-faced pylon sign setback 10 feet from front property line and 16 feet from side property line. Install detached directional sign, overall size 2.75 square feet, 2 square feet permitted. Install second detached directional sign, overall size 2.75 square feet, 2 square feet permitted. Install third detached directional sign, overall size 2.75 square feet, 2 square feet permitted. Install fourth detached directional sign, overall size 2.75 square feet, 2 square feet permitted. Install second detached illuminated pre-menu board sign not permitted, setback 15.1 feet from rear property line. Install third detached illuminated pre-menu board sign not permitted, setback 18.4 feet from rear property line, also known as 1680 Grand Avenue. Gentlemen, please stand. Please stand and raise your right hand. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? State your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz, Hauppauge, New York.
Mike Bianconello, Bowler Engineering, Melville, New York.
Yeah, we'll wait. I guess we'll wait. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As I mentioned, my name is Anthony Guardino. I'm an attorney representing the applicant, West Side Donut Baldwin Ventures, which is seeking certain relief from this board in connection with its proposal to add a drive-through lane to an existing Dunkin' Donuts restaurant, which is located at 1680 Grand Avenue in Baldwin. I have to my left Mike Bianconello from Bowler Engineering, Ethan Shikowski, which is he's behind me to my right. He's a professional engineer with Atlantic Traffic and Design. I also have with me this afternoon Lee Novick, who's a principal with West Side Donut Baldwin Ventures, in case the board has any questions. The property is about a third of an acre, a little bit more than a third of an acre in size, located on the west side of Grand Avenue in Baldwin, just south of Stanton Avenue. The property is located in the town's Business X zoning district, which permits restaurants with drive-throughs on a 2-lane roadway with a special permit from this board. The site has about 150 linear feet of frontage and 2 curb cuts on Grand Avenue. The area is characterized, as you can imagine, Grand Avenue is a well-traveled road. It is characterized by a mix of uses, many commercial uses, but also some residential uses are on Grand. To the east, across Grand, is a beauty supply and a nail salon, as well as a church, and there's some photos in the booklet I just handed out. To the south, you have the driveway to the apartment complex behind this building, and also further south, you have a gas station and a Bola convenience market. To the north, there's a single-family residence, and to the west, there's the garden apartment complex that I mentioned. As I stated, the client is looking solely to add a drive-through lane and to upgrade an existing Dunkin' Donuts. So it's Dunkin' Donuts now, it'll be Dunkin' Donuts later.
Mr. Guardino, when you
Yes.
say a lane, does the facility currently have a drive-through window at
It
all?
does not.
So
It
a
does
lane
not.
and a window and whatever.
Right, and the window and, right, the whole bit. The building that's there will have to be reduced in size by about 300 square feet, right, because there's not enough room to bring the drive-through around the back of the building and to, really the side of the building. So it's going to be reduced from about 1,832 square feet to 1,528 square feet. The parking lot, of course, will also have to be reconfigured in order to accommodate the drive-through lane, and I'm going to ask Mike Bianconello in a few minutes to explain the site plan and the changes in a little bit more detail. After the site is reconfigured, there will be a reduction in parking. Right now, there are 23 parking spaces. That's going to be reduced to 11 parking spaces. The code requires 18 parking spaces, so we will need a parking relaxation, and Ethan Schakowsky is going to testify shortly that the 11 spaces is more than adequate for the proposed restaurant, which will only have 4 seats in it after it's reconfigured. So there will be a reduction in the number of seats. All of the other seats, 4 only inside.
4 tables or 4 chairs?
4 chairs, 4 seats. Yes.
Well, I thought so.
Yeah, no, I know, that's, I was surprised too. It's only 4. All of the rest of the relief that we're seeking relates to signage, and the applicant is proposing an illuminated double-faced monument sign, which is going to require setback relief because it's set back 10 feet from the front property line and 16 feet from the side property line. The code requires 20-foot setback. The applicant is also proposing 4 directional signs that are only 2.75 square feet. So they're tiny little signs. They're entrance signs, exit signs, and then another one that is basically going to point customers to the drive-through lane. I believe, do you know which of the CZ signs?
CZ is for the curb nose, where the curb comes flush with the pavement. The CZ is for the curb nose. That's a curbing item. Yes, they are going to be by the 2 curb cuts. There's 2 enter signs, an exit sign, and then a drive-through directional sign pointing them to where the drive-through lane starts. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tab 8, if you go to tab 8, as we're looking at. The first page of tab 8 has them highlighted in yellow. I know they're still small, but they're highlighted. So they're right along the road. So those are the parking. So as I mentioned, the 4 directional signs, yes. And the remaining signs are the pre-menu board and the menu board, which are around the back of the building. Relief is needed for those signs because they represent the 2nd and 3rd ground signs on the property, but they also need setback relief because, again, they don't comply with the 20-foot setback requirement, but the pre-menu board is 15.1 feet, setback 15.1 feet, and the menu board is actually set back 18.4 feet. So that one almost complies with the code. So I think the relief that we're seeking here, at least with respect to the variances, is very modest. I hope the board will agree. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mike Bianconello to explain the changes to the plan and explain how the site will function with the drive-through.
Thank you, Mr. Guardino. Good afternoon, members of the board. As Mr. Guardino already stated, the existing site contains a approximately 1,800 square foot Dunkin' restaurant with 23 stalls and 2 curb cuts onto Grand Avenue, which is a DPW roadway. The existing stall orientation and curb cut locations do provide some conflict points and unsafe circulation conditions that will be rectified with the proposed layout.
Excuse me,
Yes.
is that noise coming from outside? If it is, could you please close the door? In the alternative, if any of you want to have a conversation, I would suggest that you take it outside, because the court stenographer cannot hear what is being testified to. Okay? Pardon? There is no door here. The door's gone. Well, is there anyone out there who's, could you please tell them to step away from the door? Quick, IDA, door. Okay.
Gordino, I don't think ironically, trees might be better signs on, so technically they're not, but they are on Exhibit 8. But which led me to notice that on Exhibit 8, the diagram is slightly different than the diagram on our site plan plot and their site location map. For example, on Exhibit 8, and it may not be material, but on Exhibit 8, when I was trying to locate sign number 4, which you noted in Exhibit 8, in that area, the curb configuration is different along that than it is on our site plan. I don't think you could say that it's error, but can you tell me which line is that?
She's saying that the plan that, Sonato's saying the plan that she has is different than what's the sign. The sign is not on the site plan itself.
Oh.
Right, it's not on here, but also the configuration of the curb, is that the curb cut? It looks the same. The sign, no, I see what you're saying, the sign's not on the site plan.
Even on the other side of it, of the configuration, you can see that for lack of a better term, the layer of the curb on the north side is quite voluptuous, and the one in Exhibit 8 is less so. I don't really care too much, except I don't know what else is inaccurate. We just identify which one is accurate.
Is this the accurate one?
It
I don't know if the site plan changed at all. I mean, you're using the most recent.
This is the most recent one.
Yeah, so if it has changed, we'll have to look at it to tell you what has changed.
Yes,
I
we
was not
actually,
aware of that.
we recently received comments from the DPW. They might have requested some small tweaks that could be explaining the slight variations between the two plans you're referring to.
The sign site plan, that's in there,
Yes.
Yes, SNG zone.
You've- Okay. The proposed site work will include removing a portion of the building, approximately 300 square feet or so, to make the drive-through lane functional. The proposed pickup window will be on the southern exterior building wall and will provide for an approximately 12-car total queue in the drive-through lane itself. The existing curb cut locations will remain essentially in place with some minor variations and modifications per the Nassau County DPW. Just to keep that plan cleaner, we did freeze and not show the cars in the stack.
But that other one, the one in Exhibit 8, accommodates, because there's no way 12 cars fit in the one wheel. So you're saying the difference here also include, they could fit an additional vehicle into.
Yes, before it backs up onto, into the parking lot itself or onto Grand Avenue.
Well, if it's all in the queue on Exhibit 8, then certainly a 13 would fit in the driveway without getting on the grant, so.
Correct.
It's not like 12 and then the next one might get on grant.
It's correct, yes. The existing parking stall count on site will be reduced from 23 to 11. The existing pylon sign will be relocated to the northeast corner of the site from in front of the building itself to provide more visibility to the site. Deliveries will be from a SU-30 box truck and will be delivered off-peak hours to avoid any congestion on site. Additional site improvements will include enhanced and compliant storm drainage, compliant ADA stalls and pedestrian access, and approximately 160 new shrubs and ground plantings. As Mr. Godino alluded to earlier, we are requesting several variances with this application. The first is for a special permit for the drive-through use in the Business X District. Grand Avenue is a pretty well-trafficked roadway. There are additional fast food uses in the area on Grand Avenue that have a drive-through use. There are also several sign variances being proposed. 3 ground signs are proposed where only 1 is allowed. 2 of those signs are for the drive-through use to function efficiently and safely. There are also 4 directional signs that are being proposed to help guide traffic throughout the site. They are 2.75 square feet illuminated where only 2 square feet is allowed. And at this point, I could pass the application off to Mr. Chukowski, who can describe the parking variance and traffic conditions.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're just trying to figure out how to deal with the, working from Exhibit 8, which is not, there are more than a few differences between that and the site plan we originally were given to work off of. So we're definitely, at a minimum, going to need an updated, accurate site plan. Again, like the 12 cars versus 11, whatever. So we're going to have to get, and hopefully the testimony is consistent enough with the new site plan that we can just hold it on reserve.
That's fine.
I mean.
I understand.
hopefully, yeah,
I understand.
Because even the 12-car testimony is contrary to 11, whatever. So
Yeah.
we're going to need an updated site plan before we can even deliberate on the case.
Yeah, I'll apologize for that. I mean, we submitted what we had at the time, and then as we go through the process, as Mike mentioned, the DPW makes comments, and then we made changes, and I incorporated the new plan with the changes in the book, which is, I understand why that would be confusing. So I will make sure that I reconcile everything.
Yeah, and the thing is that Exhibit 8, while it's accurate seemingly as to some things, it lacks it doesn't have nearly the detail as the site plan we were working from. So to the extent that other issues arise as to where things are cited, because if we were inclined to grant it, it is granted, if it is granted, based on the plan that we're looking at when we grant it. So, if the trash dumpster isn't there or whatever, or the sign is, then we start over, so.
I understand. The plan, though, that you have as the Exhibit 8 was just it's the sign site plan. That's why it's lacking. It was meant to depict the locations of the signs only. That's why.
Well, except,
But I understand that you need the rest of the information. I do understand that.
so, but wait, now what? We're looking at 8 for the signs but no, for cars who can fit in the queue, which is relevant. Particularly, we have some, email messages complaining of queuing and how that might adversely affect the neighborhood. So I was under the understanding that we could go by Exhibit 8 for the configuration of the site.
I think for the configuration of the site, Exhibit 7 is the site layout plan. That
And
one
that's-
shows the cars.
Let me compare it to the site plan that we were given to work from.
recent plan? I think Lenore said she updated the site plan.
This is not the latest.
But that
This is
one,
not-
Not showing the correct.
it's not showing, okay.
but that one is, 8 and 7 can't both be accurate.
Well, 8 can be accurate for sign location, but 7 would be the site plan. But I think it's best if I get you the,
7 actually has the same curb configuration as 8, which is both different than the site plan.
I understand.
So that might work.
I understand. I will make sure you have everything that you need. Okay. Oh, that's yours, sorry. There you go.
Thank you. Well, if it's okay, maybe I can go through some of my parking testimony and we could move on to this, because I know for a fact the number of parking stalls did not change. So I'm Ethan Chikoski. I'm with Atlantic Traffic and Design, professional engineer. I've been recognized as a traffic expert before this board before, and nothing's changed in my since then. So we prepared a traffic and parking statement dated April 14th, 2022. We took a look at the site and the parking impact of the proposed change to that site. Mike went through most of the changes to the site already, but in terms of parking, it was mentioned that there's 18 parking stalls required for this application, while 11 are being provided. There's a reduction due to the drive-through site modifications. We observed parking demand at the existing site in April of 2022, and we found, we studied various peak periods throughout a few days at the site, and we found a maximum parking demand of 13 stalls. We then evaluated ITE parking rates. So ITE is the Institute of Transportation Engineers. It's our industry standard from evaluating parking. We compared the parking demand for a typical coffee shop with drive-through and a typical coffee shop without drive-through. We found that demand rate is reduced anywhere from 50 to 60% based on the installation of the drive-through. So with the drive-through addition and the parking demand we observed at the site, we calculate there'll be a maximum demand of 11 stalls during a Saturday peak hour. And so that with the, I'm sorry.
With the drive-through?
No,
and
I'm
4
sorry.
chairs, you only went from 13 to 11?
I'm sorry, no, 11, I mixed up my number there. It's a maximum of 8, I'm sorry. That would be during a
I'm surprised
Saturday
you need
peak
8,
hour.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like 4 chairs, 2 tables of 2, and a giant drive-through. I'm surprised you can even use 8 stalls. How many employees? How
I
many of those
believe
stalls
that's,
did you attribute to employees?
well, when we look at it, we look at overall parking demand inclusive.
Right, but don't you assign some number to the employee part of that equation?
Well, no, we look at the overall demand, and that includes the employees parked at the site.
Right, but
for-
how many of those stalls did you allocate to the employees?
The building,
The principal is here, so he can explain
No,
to that.
the-
Anyone, at the most, there was 5 employees.
the building department ascribes a certain amount of required parking for employees, then a certain amount for the general occupancy.
They do 4 stalls per employee.
4 total for employees, so you're allocating the 4 additional?
No, I'm sorry, they, 8 employees, but they 2 stalls for employees.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
Of the 8 that you have determined are needed?
Yeah.
Post renovation and with the introduction of the new, and the only 4 chairs, you're putting 6 of those to customers still?
Correct, during a max parking demand on a Saturday peak hour.
Okay.
You know, not, so, that's taking into account the seating and then also people coming in to pick up and leave, you know, so.
Are you guys doing any of, if you can answer, if not, a lot of the new sort of fast food, if you will, establishments coming before us these days are doing a lot of, you order on an app and there's some slots where you can pull in and jump in and get your stuff. Is that part of the business model?
I know it's part of the Dunkin' business model, but I'm not sure it's to this site.
Can I call the
Yeah.
operator, the owner? Yeah, he would have the best answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I mean, that wraps up my parking testimony. We also evaluated additional traffic to the site. I mean, this is an established location. So we did evaluate using ITE data, what the demand rate for trips is compared to a site without a drive-through and with a drive-through. There is a slight increase on Saturday. Our projection is less than 20 trips to the site over the course of a peak hour on a Saturday.
So your analysis, once, if this were approved and it was reconfigured in the way we've all just described, your analysis is, given that it's established and they have a customer base and then they get the pass-by stuff, your analysis is that there would be some increase of 20 trips on the busiest day, and other than that, it would be all basically the same numbers. And then on the least busy day, did you check how many? It's less than 20, obviously, but.
Yeah, the IT actually has, their trip rates for a coffee shop with drive-through is actually less than a coffee shop without drive-through during a morning peak hour. But we don't find that to be realistic in this case. I mean, I would imagine that during a typical morning peak hour, you'd have, you know, based on the data I've reviewed, about the same amount of trips.
So in your expert opinion, this reconfiguration and slightly changed business model, because we do have some people who have raised issues of the traffic.
Yes.
So in your expert opinion, you don't believe that the traffic generated by the new and improved model would differ significantly from the traffic it currently generates?
Correct. Based on the data I've reviewed that's published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, that's my professional opinion.
You want to hear from the owner?
It's your case. Every time I see someone sworn in, I think about what we did at the phone.
The town.
Lee Novick, I live in Westchester County in Armonk.
You gotta speak louder or pull it closer or something. And
My name
give
is
your
Lee
full
Novick.
address.
I'm one of the principals of this location. I live in Westchester County in Armonk.
Full address.
5 Seymour Place, East Armonk, New York.
Go ahead, Mr. Guardino. What would you like him to tell us?
Respond to the.
Yeah, so there was a question about the parking stalls, I believe, with the curbside 15-minute pickup spots. So we tend to do that in locations that have a higher demand for.
Can you, if you don't want to be closer, just speak up louder or something.
We, the curbside pickup spots are optional, so we tend to do them in locations that have a higher demand of people using the app to place orders. And sometimes we put them in anyway, even if we don't need them, just so people get in and out quicker. So to answer your question about that, we would do it if we felt it was going to help the flow of traffic, and we wouldn't do it if we felt it was going to hurt the flow of traffic. There's really no requirement around it. We find that it helps speed people up, getting them in and out quicker to open up parking spots and not, you know, kind of loitering and dilly-dallying around.
So what is your opinion as it relates to this location?
I don't know that we would have it in this location because it's not a high usage of the app at this location
Okay.
for people ordering in advance.
So right now, there's no intention of designated some number of these 11 spots as spots that are for people who are getting, and again, you have 4 chairs. So everyone who comes there, I gotta believe, is basically coming in and out. So maybe all your spots are in and out. for
Pretty
the most
much.
part.
Pretty much.
But, okay, so that's not your intention. Okay,
Correct.
Can you tell us a little more about your hours and your business?
Yeah, the
You know,
business is open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. That will remain the same. Of the, about 60% to 70% of the business is generated from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And we generally will have about 200 cars in that time period.
What percentage do you expect to go just in the drive-through without of the 200 roughly?
Just through the drive-through, we would expect it to be about 70%.
Really? I would have thought more. Okay. And then, since you're grouping it by number of cars, in the period of time from 11:30 a.m. until 11 p.m., in that whole block, how many cars do you expect coming in and out if you were to count it? Just guesstimate.
Another 100 or so.
So 66% before 11, like you said, 60.
More or less, yeah.
300 cars a day.
We find that the traffic increase from converting to a drive-through from a traditional non-drive-through, it's not necessarily, the business sales will increase, but the number of cars does not increase drastically, the number of cars coming into the business, because what we find is a lot of people will come in groups, or they will come, like someone will come in with their neighbor instead of, so they'll take one car instead of 2 cars. We find a lot of that. We find a lot of I guess carpooling is what I'm trying to say. So the number of cars does not increase drastically, even though the sales will go up.
Okay, a couple things I just want to run by you, because one of the emails we were sent sort of highlights some of the issues that are regularly come before this board, so that you can, so one of them is obviously there's a complaint that they are afraid, that the fear is traffic from the queue will back onto Grand Avenue and all that, I think we kind of covered that. So also there's mention made of the idling of the cars, and the noise from the horns and the radios. Usually in the past, what we've tried to do is have the decibel of the speaker controlled when it abuts residential traffic, a sign that says, please lower your radio, please don't honk the horn, buy where you order, that's common. Mention is made here about the light pollution from 8 oversized signs and the headlights of the waiting cars. The signs, obviously, any of the lights in the parking lot, generally, we have them, the back side, the side of, on the residential side, put up, I forget what they call the little block that, the parking lot lights don't shine into the residential neighborhood. As it relates to the queuing, I'm not sure if the site plan, do you have currently a fence around the subject property?
Yes.
Okay, how high is the fence?
I'm sorry, I don't know how high the fence is.
Okay, is it solid?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that a solid fence should block the bulk of the headlights. Right, I would seem to me,
And the
engineer?
Yes, it's board on board for part of it, and then PVC for the other part.
All right, I'm just trying to get at how we block the headlights of the cars in the residential neighborhood.
Yep.
We would make sure that the fence is taller, that's not.
Yeah.
Yes, we are maintaining the fence and then also adding shrubs and evergreen plantings to help shield any lights and noise from the site.
All right, so you understand the issues that were raised by that person? Yeah, so even if we were inclined to approve this, we definitely require the fence be solid, that we have the signs with the things I've mentioned, that the decibel level of the drive-through, I think it's 59, but there's some number that suits everyone for that, and turn down the radios. Now, you want just one, so the first window, the pre-menu board, is that have a speaker or no? That's just to look at what you might want to have.
Correct, that's just to help the drive-through move a little bit
And
faster.
then the proposed menu board, that's where the order's taken?
Correct.
Which itself is further from the residential. That's, yeah, that is on, I think, about where the side of the apartment building is that about right?
Yes.
Okay, and do you anticipate when it's busy having, we all see the other business models like the Chick-fil-A where they have the people out there, and we've got a few others. That's not part of the business model, or?
You wish.
I wish we needed that. So no, we will not have that unless it becomes necessary, which in my wildest dreams, I can't imagine that happening.
And the pickup window I don't see noted anyway. Is the pickup where
It is
car one is?
at car one, yes.
Okay, so that would be, okay.
Any other questions from the board? Do we have any people who would like to speak in opposition?
Or anyone else here to speak?
Who would like to go first?
You're up to
Have
bat.
at it.
He can use the
He can use the podium.
So you can stay there, Mr. Guardino and crew.
Name and address for the record, sir. Yes.
Hi. Are we on? Yeah.
You are.
I'm Steve Ralston. I live at 823 Stanton Avenue, north and east of Dunkin' Donuts. May I ask one question of them before the statement? Because you had access to where the order window is and the pickup window, and that's part of my complaint is the headlights.
Okay, hold on, let me get you, have another exhibit?
I do. You
that you can show.
you want to take one of those?
7?
I don't want to study, I know the building, I live there, so,
But that will show you the window.
Okay.
Or is that what you're asking? Exhibit 7 should show the order window and then the pickup area, which isn't written pickup.
all right, my neighbor will talk about the bus stop that's right there by the entrance to Dunkin' Donuts, but allow me to restart. I ask you to say no to the 8 exceptions they seek. In fact, there are 9 exceptions, while there are 8 listed cases. The first one, 286, requests the special exception, plus a variance in off-street parking, which I don't think has been discussed today. Hopefully, some of you have visited the site that we're talking about today. High school students walk and congregate here. I mean, they want a drive-through where people congregate there and they walk there. I walk there with my grandson. They love it. And my son went to Baldwin High School. He and his friends used to congregate there. So there is a lot of student traffic, not driving traffic, where they propose to put a drive-through. You will see there is no place on that busy street. Getting back to the variance in off-street parking, if you have visited the site, you will see there is no place on that busy street for parking. Dunkin' Donuts has a sufficiently large parking lot that I'm learning today they want to reduce substantially, for the successful walk-in business that they have had for the 37 years I have lived in that location. I'm just 3 houses east of Grand Avenue. As I stand in my driveway or the den of my house or my upstairs bedroom, I can see their parking lot where all these lights will be shining from. I suppose they requested the exception because they know traffic will back up onto Grand Avenue.
You're across Grand Avenue?
Yes.
Yeah, he's over here.
So is there a drugstore in the northeast corner of your map? I'm 3 houses east of the corner. 823? So we like this community shop. We're a little shocked that they want to change it from a community gathering place. A drive-through so close to so many homes will add to air pollution, light pollution, and noise pollution, which are already a concern on Grand Avenue. And I have to say, it's misleading that they say that there are other drive-throughs in the area. The Popeyes drive-through has a deep parking lot, and even they have backups. You should see the traffic on Grand Avenue since the Popeyes drive-through was created. So the drive-throughs do create a traffic nuisance on Grand Avenue. It's a busy street. So I don't know where they're going to fit 12 cars in this nice little community shop that they have now. The apartments behind will surely lose value, and I expect the value of my home will also be negatively impacted with the 7 new signs they wish to erect, the noise, air pollution, and litter, which are always, unfortunately, added dimensions of any drive-through. Can you imagine listening to the microphone of a drive-through so close to your home until, I have midnight. The door says you're open till midnight. You said 11 o'clock, but either way, I hope the loudspeaker is low. I'll finish with Dunkin' Donuts has been a successful operation since I moved to East Stanton Avenue in June 1986. Let's ask them to keep it simple, as it is. Let's demand it. Exceptions, variances, are requested for changes which do not fit the local zoning. What they have now fits into our little town. The simple answer is no. There is no good reason these protections, there is a good reason these protections are in place. The current zoning allows Dunkin' Donuts to fit in as a good neighbor to the homes so close by. The 12 cars they plan on idling around the small building change the entire character. Thank you.
Hello,
Hello. Name and address for the record, please.
my name is Renee Belmar. I live at 1670 Grand Avenue. That's the residence north of Dunkin' Donuts that was mentioned. I've lived in that house for 25 years. What they failed to mention, the Popeyes has to be it's less than 100 feet away, which already gnarls the traffic. In the same lane that they're proposing, cars will line up for their establishment. They also failed to mention that there is a bus stop 10 feet away from Dunkin' Donuts. So the bus has to drive in that lane, and there will be backups, right? Can we agree that in the morning, people are going to pick up coffee? He said 9 to 11, I believe, right? That's also the time people will be on that bus trying to get to the LIRR station, which is a mile away. So people will have to sit in that lane and wait for the Dunkin' Donuts line to go down before they can even get to the bus stop. There will be people on that bus late for work, people who are not driving. I have experienced a lot with this establishment behind my home. They have, so the trees, they've cut down, and maybe it's not this owner because there's been several owners, they've cut down many of the trees, well, the branches that overlapped into the parking lot, and they killed several trees in the back of my property. The PVC fence, is that what it is? Is that what you call it, PVC? That they're maintaining, they just put that up a month ago, right? So let me tell you what happened a month before that. We bought the fence, my family, we maintained the fence for 25 years. They never, and it was their fence. And I would complain all the time to the owner. And the topping on top of that, the cake was, they would put signs on my fence that they didn't pay for. They have never been community-minded. They've always acted as if we live with them. They don't live with us. I don't trust this variance, or these variances that they're asking for. I think it will pollute the community even further. I think it will gnarl the traffic even more. And I don't see, I think the way it's set up now is sufficient. I think there will be problems that we have to live with, not them, that we have to live with, should you approve any of these variances.
Anyone else?
Yeah, can I just have a couple of minutes to just, a minute to rebut them, if that's okay? The first person who spoke, talked about this as being a spot for people to congregate. Usually that's not such a great thing. I believe that when these seats are reduced significantly, people are not going to congregate if they have no place to sit. This is going to be transformed mainly into a drive-through driven type business, so I think the congregating will cease. As was said, Grand Avenue is a busy street. There are drive-throughs on this street. Restaurants today, I'm sure this board is seeing them. I'm making applications all over. Restaurants need drive-throughs. That's the way fast food restaurants work these days. So while some of the neighbors like what's there, things have to evolve over time. And the last person, I can appreciate the point about the bus stop, but there's a leap there that the cars will have already spilled out onto Grand for it to be a problem for the bus stop, and I believe the testimony was that that's not going to happen. So if the cars don't spill out onto Grand, this has zero impact on the bus stop. And then the issue with the fence, if it's, the neighbor's fence, obviously we can't put signs on it. We can't put signs on it anyway, even if it's our fence. That will not happen. And I don't have anything else to add, other than that, we hope that the board will approve this application, which is a special permit with not huge, oversized signs, modest signs, And the special permit is not really an exception, as this board knows. I'm saying this for the public. It's not really an exception. A special exception is actually a use that is tantamount to being an approved use as long as it doesn't adversely impact the community. So it's not like this is a leap that the board has to make, as the board already knows. So I thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Chairman, I would move that the hearing be closed, that the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you all for coming and participating. Have a nice
Thank you.
day.
Thank you. Good to see you all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions?
Next, we have case 294-23 through 295-23, Uniondale. Kids Are Kids LLC. Special exception for proposed daycare and portion of existing building, variance in off-street parking, special exception for no on-site maneuvering aisle for the pickups and drop-off of children attendees, also known as 364 through 366 Uniondale Avenue. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? I do. Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Teddy McLean, 250 Fulton Avenue, Hempstead, New York.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, good afternoon. My name is Barry Lights, Law Offices of Barry Lights, 23 Green Street, Huntington, New York, for the petitioner, Kids for Kids. In addition to Mr. McLean, I'm joined by the principals of the petitioner, the operators of the proposed daycare center. This is an application for a special exception and a variance. The special exception relates to the operation of a daycare center in the space under Article 27. I would like to point out that the use of the term daycare center is a bit of a misnomer, because this is not a typical daycare center. It is a learning center specializing in special needs children. The principals of the petitioner have advanced degrees in education and provide speech therapy and behavioral therapy, and there is no such learning facility within a 10-mile radius of the proposed location, such that it is a critical need for the community. The petitioner has been awarded a New York State Division of Child Services Desert Grant. And I would like to present the definition of Desert Grant. Basically,
We'll accept that in evidence.
thank you, qualifying that it is a particular need in the community for this use.
Can you just tell us for the record what a desert grant is in the
Yes, so,
sentence or two?
yes, a desert grant is basically a grant for child services in an area, in a demonstrated area of dearth, where there's a dearth of these services in a particular area. And so you have to demonstrate that that the services provided are unique to the area, to the geographic area, and there is a need in the community for these services. And so they have been awarded that desert grant for the operation in this location.
Okay, and the location was a part of the grant materials?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So as part of that process, do you submit a layout of the facility that's being proposed for them to opine as to whether or not this is an appropriate place for this sort of thing and the way you've configured it, et cetera, or?
May I ask
Okay, go
that
ahead.
English cook needs to be sworn and be part of the,
Yes, absolutely.
state your name and address.
English cook, 851 James Place in Uniondale, New York, 11553. So this grant that I applied for, the New York State OCFS, is based on a geographic area. So in order, when you apply for the grant, you put in the address, and that is based off the approval, whether you get approved or not. Is it a need in the community in which you?
So it doesn't go with, once you get the grant, you find a facility.
No, I have to put the address first.
The address of the actual location.
Of the actual location before I am even approved, absolutely.
Would you mind just, in one sentence, telling us what your background qualifications are? Your licensing or your?
Yes, so I'm a New York State certified teacher. I have in special education. I have a dual cert in special education, and so does my mother, who's going to be working with me. She has a master's in special education, and we take children who need speech, who are on the spectrum, who also need help just even identifying those issues. So they'll come into our care as preschool, pre-K students, and we'll notice they have a speech delay, or they have behavioral, social, emotional, and then we'll refer and help parents with the Department of Health or the school district, depending on the age in which the child is.
When you get the children, have they already been categorized as a child who needs one or more of your services?
Yes, sometimes and sometimes no.
Oh, so some of the students who come to you they have not been identified as needing something
No.
unique?
No, most of them, they are, but some of them aren't. The parents bring them and the children aren't speaking, and they're milestones in which the children should be speaking, and I will identify it, and I will speak with the parent and, walk them through the process.
Now, your grant, when you get it, is it for do you submit sort of a plan, like 4 people, we're gonna have 4, like, let's use you and your mom. We are 2, here are our qualifications. We want to apply to have 12 kids or 18 kids or whatever the number is. Do they say, okay, we approve the 2 of you only for these 18 kids or whatever the numbers are? Or do you just have a more generalized plan, and if you want to hire 1 more person and get 6 more children, or?
So I was already, okay, so your question is, so I was already approved from New York State, OCFS, the Department of Health, the Fire Marshal, everyone. I am honestly just waiting for my occupancy, to be honest with you.
But I think correct me if I'm
So-
wrong, but I think that you're asking as to the numbers.
So, no,
Yeah,
so,
the numbers
so the
and-
numbers from the state in which I was approved for were 17 on one side and 17 on another side.
What
And the
size?
ratio of, there's two classrooms,
So 34 children,
correct?
okay.
And there are 3 teachers to each classroom,
So 6.
correct?
34 children, 6 kids, and you and your mother are either administrators or also teachers or both?
Yes, and all the other staff members are certified teachers as well.
Okay, so the number of 24 required parking spots, which is on some of your materials, that number, I assume then is based on the proposal of 34 children and 6 teachers?
Absolutely not. The children are, they don't stay for parking. The parents are not allowed to come in. It's a drop and go system. So they will come to the door, I will have a clipboard, and they will sign in, and they will go on. And I will receive their children.
All right, then upon what was the number based?
What is she asking?
I'm sorry. I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
The answer is yes, that per the code, that is the correct number, 24 spaces, and there are 14 available, and we're seeking the variance of 10.
Okay,
Yes.
and I noticed the variance also, one we don't see that often, special exception for no on-site maneuvering aisle for the pickup and drop of attendees. Tell us why you don't need that.
I will start, and I will pass it on to Ms. Cook. At least 80% of the students, of the children that are dropped off by via public transportation and people walking, because a lot of the parents are on public assistance. In addition,
What kind of public transportation, don't mind? Is it the train, is it a bus?
It's the bus, but I also provide transportation. I have a van, if you want to show the picture of the transportation van in which I provide to a lot of the parents on subsidy within our community. and do not have any means of transportation. So I provide transportation for the convenience of the parents to get to our program, to help the parents, to bring them to a quality childcare center, learning center.
That's terrific, actually.
Thank you.
So you pick up, if you had 34 students, ideally, would you say is the 80% number the pickup, or does that include the walk?
I pick up about half of that, the 17, and then there are some who walk, and then maybe a few parents who bring their children. So that is how it kind of works. You have the
And
picture
those
of
who
it.
bring them don't stay, you say?
None of them stay.
Do they pull onto the premises, I assume?
They'll pull on, yeah,
And
in front.
someone comes out and gets them, or their parent walks
There's-
them up to the door, you
They,
check them in?
they just check in at the door, sign in, and they leave. They're not allowed to even step foot in because there's other children there, and the safety of the other children are imperative to us. That's our first priority, is the safety of the children before anything. Sorry.
Do they drop them off in the rear of the building or the front?
They can drop off in the front and the side, in the back as
Is there
well.
parking on Uniondale Avenue?
Yes, on Uniondale Avenue.
There is parking on Uniondale Avenue, and you do have a front entrance?
I do have a front entrance and a back entrance, yes. So the children who are being dropped off by me or provided transportation by me will be coming through the back. And then, because I'm going to specifically use the parking lot for myself as a bus, as the transportation. But children can also come through the front. There's plenty of staff, and we have these windows. Well, the building, there's like we can see out, but no one can see in. So we always can see everything.
And how long did the children stay?
Our hours of operation is from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., but children typically don't come around that early. They usually attend 7:30. Our drop-off cutoff is 10 a.m. So children are never there all at the same time coming in.
Do they have an outdoor play area?
We have a permit with the Cedar Street Park, so the children hold on to the ropes. We have our ropes, and staff to teacher ratio, one in the back, one in the middle, and the park is right across the street. So we have already been approved by the town of Hempstead for that, Park and Recreation by Jennifer.
I'm sorry, did you say Cedar Street Park?
Cedar Street, that's Uniondale, Cedar Street, it's called Cedar Street.
Right, how far is it from the facility?
It's across the street.
Across Uniondale Avenue?
No, in the back, when you're walking through the back, you just walk it right across the street, like next to the library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the state already approved it as well, because they ask the same question that you asked. Don't worry, safety first.
The plot plan shows your facility or the proposed facility and the 14 parking spots behind it. I guess that's the back.
Yes,
Are those 14 parking spots exclusively for your use, or are they also used by other establishments?
It's shared, it's a shared parking.
But your position is that you use the back, other businesses can use the back, and that the percentage, whatever, the 20% of your people who don't either walk or ride in your van, approximately, most of those would be dropped off in the front. Is that right? Oh, in the back? Oh, I thought, I apologize.
It could happen anyway. It could happen in the front. They also have a driveway on the side that you enter the back of the parking lot. So the reason why the plan examiner recommended that we ask for the relief for the drop-off aisle because of the way how the parking lot is a little tight. So they said we should ask for the relief because it might make it a little difficult to have it in the parking lot. But there's allowed parking on the front, on the street side by the municipality. So you could pull up there and drop off and walk right into the daycare.
Wait, where is the parking on the street?
On Uniondale Ave, it's allowed parking for 3 hours or something. Yeah.
Oh, when you said the municipality, you just meant street parking, not a municipal lot.
And also the municipality have a parking lot opposite side of the street about
You mean a town parking lot?
There's a town parking lot.
Diagonal, maybe 1,000 feet away.
I like what you're trying to do. I have a severe problem about double parking on Uniondale Avenue. How do you mean, no? Yeah, to let the kids out.
Wait, one sec. Well, I respectfully disagree that there is that risk because, again, the people do not park per se. They pull up, they bring their child to the door, and they drop them off. But as I said, at least 80% of the students do not drive, they are not driven to the place. They are driven by my client, by the principal, or they take public transportation. That's just the demographic of the student, of the child population.
But tell us how we make sure that the other 20% don't double park and cause an accident.
Oh, our parents, so we have another place at our home, actually. That's why we're trying to expand, excuse me. And the parents, they definitely know not to do that, otherwise they will be terminated from the program. But there is a parking lot right across the street from the library that has over 50 parking spaces that the parents can park. It will be typed in my letter to send home to the parents. There's rules, and they have to follow them.
Where is the parking lot? I'm looking at.
It's right across the street from the library, which is right across the street from us.
Across Uniondale Avenue from the library?
Correct. And there's a light there.
Is it the one that's on my map, Community Services? Okay, and there's a light to cross Uniondale Avenue over to the library, or do they walk north and cross? Where does the light provide a crossing?
The light is right by the library, right across the street from, okay, so the library is on the same side as I'm located.
Correct.
And the parking lot is right across the street. There's a light that just crosses you.
But do you cross, my question is, when you cross Uniondale Avenue at the light you've described, do you then also have to cross over Webster to get to you, or
Oh,
are you
absolutely, yeah,
already?
absolutely. But
So
there's
it
also,
crosses on that side of Webster, and then you cross over Webster?
yes, which is, yeah. And there is also parking right around the corner as well. There's parking, plenty of parking. I actually did a couple of test trials
Around the
myself.
corner on Webster, like street parking?
There's parking everywhere.
I think your mom wanted to
Oh,
say
sorry, I was swearing my mom in.
name and address.
Thank you, sorry.
I know. Hold on a moment. Patrick, you gotta swear this lady in.
I do. I am Professor Diane Ramis, and I am going to be the director at Kids Are Kids. I live at 851 James Place in Uniondale, New York, 11553.
Thank you. Can we give her a chair so she can speak? One of you two gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board. How are you today? Good. I think the fellow sitting next to you on
Mr.
your
Pellegrini.
left was asking about the double parking. And that definitely was a concern for me as far as the safety and the welfare of children, because, you know, sometimes people just don't get it, you know what I'm saying? But I've lived in Uniondale all my life, and just for the heck of it, to make sure when we were going to get this particular place, I drove up there a couple of times around that time that parents would be coming who do own a vehicle, to see what it would be like, you know, as far as traffic, available parking, that sort of thing. And there was a lot of open parking at that time, because around 6:30, 7 o'clock, first of all, we close our doors at 8:30. That's it, you're done. If you're not there, you cannot drop off your child, because the state says they have to be there at a certain time.
8:30 a.m.
A.m.
No, I didn't know
What?
that the night was closed.
Well, where we are now, it's 10 o'clock, but I think the state lady said that when we move into a building, it's a little different, yes or no?
Drop-offs
I think like 8:39, there is a drop-off time.
What's the last, when do you close the door at the end of the night?
I'm-
6:30, but the children that we have are usually picked up before then because they're being transferred over, basically from where we are to where we are located with the new location, because it's a need. So the parents usually come before, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depends. Some come before.
Pardon me. Does the state, once you obtain a facility and have it prepared for your business, does the state do any type of safety / inspections as to its functionality and all the aspects of that?
We get inspections quarterly, actually.
Do they inspect more than just your
We-
ratio and your bathrooms and your food or whatever? Do
No,
they
we're
inspect the
we're
drop-off
only,
process?
we're only allowed to have what we're approved for from the state. No extra children, no.
But do they, other than inspecting
This
you for
question?
the
Yes.
ratio?
Yes, the question is correct. Yes, they have come, they have seen the facility, they've seen the bathroom, they've seen the front of the building, they have observed where the parking, the street, the back parking lot,
General operation
the
of the
side.
day in the life?
Yeah, this is New York State, and they have came, they told her what we could have. We had to make some changes inside the building as far as the setup. They have approved the bathroom. They approved everything.
Do you,
And they will come back again. They do pop-ups, they do quarterly inspections to make sure that things are running sufficiently.
how long have you had how long ago did you lease the facility?
A year ago, and we've been paying $5,000 a month for a place that we're not even in.
So you've paid it for a year?
I have what?
Have you made your improvements?
The fire marshal came, that we passed the health department, New York State, we passed everything. They love the place. It's a brand-new place, that's one, because I believe the owner redid the whole place, so everything is up to code. Oh, I'm sorry.
If you, if this board were to approve your request here today, what remains to be done for you to start operating, and how long would that take?
Nothing, we're waiting on you guys, because I have a deadline for the grant. So in the email sent from the licensure, it just states that they're waiting for the occupancy, so that I can, which is why I wanted to ask if I do get approved, which is I hope I do, because it's really a necessity for the community. May I have a contingency letter stating that I have been approved, so that I can give to the state, so that I can get in time for my grant and get the license, because they're waiting for my license.
Okay, hold on.
And I also will lose my funds.
If we were to approve your matter, not everything gets approved today when we do decisions, some things take longer. If we were to approve, if we were to do your case today, we don't know until we deliberate. If we were to approve your case today, you'd probably get a decision in a couple of days. If that were the case, how does that fit your timing?
That fits the timing perfectly.
Because I don't know if we have a contingency letter mechanism in place.
Right. If
But-
I can get, go ahead,
The
sorry.
only concern was that the desert grant that I talked about.
Sure.
They lose it on June 10th if they're not open. That's the only contingency on the grant is occupancy.
Okay, so but the opening, oh, that's why you keep referring to occupancy.
Yes.
So the opening, once you're finished here, if you were approved, your opening can happen, your occupancy, as you call it, would happen pretty expeditiously.
Correct. And these funds will help me assist the children and get the special equipment and services that I need for the children in the community, and another van to help transport the need of the children. I have a call waiting list of parents, but they're on the waiting list, obviously.
How many people are on your list?
I got it, honestly, over 20.
Wow.
I know, and I'm not even open yet.
What is the latest?
Wait, 20 plus the 34?
Well, I don't have that many, I don't have the whole 34, no. So what happens is I can only take the capacity of what I'm approved for from New York State OCFS, so that's the cap on that. But then some children grow out, some children I help get into other facilities like the Hag and Dawn or a BOCES program, depending on their condition.
But you have 20 waiting in addition to whatever you're actually able to take?
Yes, which is why I refer people, try to help them, refer them to, like Hagendorn or BOCES or, you know, things like that, of that such nature.
What
I
is,
know.
what is the, ma'am, what is the latest date by which you need an approval in order to qualify for the grant?
Well, June 10th, but I need to submit that occupancy to the state first, so I would need that before June 10th.
How long before?
Maybe the end of this month if possible.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. No.
Thank you.
No.
I just have a question. Is there another daycare center near you?
Yes, there actually is, but they do not receive children with special needs, which is why actually a few people have come to me in the community for that reason.
Do they have parking?
They have their own thing going on, their own parking, yes.
They have their own parking lot?
Oh, I'm not too sure about that, but
And what other businesses are in your building?
a nail shop and, which is the owner's office, and also the owner's office.
I'm sorry, it's a nail shop, a paint shop, the owner's office, a takeout restaurant.
Is that the Jerk?
Yes.
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 Okay, it's not a sit-down restaurant?
No, it's takeout.
only
Takeout. It's takeout.
Okay.
Everything is in and out.
Ed,
I do.
right ahead.
I just wanted to say that she had asked, was there another daycare in the area? There is, and I think it was just last week or a week before, a parent called us, and she had went to that daycare, and they would not take her child because the child has special needs. He has outbursts, breakdowns, things like that. And a lot of these facilities don't have staff members that are experienced by training, education, for behavioral cognitive thinking for the children. And we took that child. We took that child, and because she had to work. And it was a rough, 2 weeks with him. I have a bruise on my leg because he was just kicking and fighting and stuff. And the other day, today is what? What is today? Wednesday? I saw the mother Monday as she was leaving, and I said, he's doing very well here now. He's just, the aggression is gone. He's starting to socialize with his peers. And she said, there's a difference in him at home. And then I said, well, she's going to sit with us one day and give her some building skills to do other things with her child at home, because parents go home and, they pick up the child from the daycare, and then the child goes home and they're like, I don't know how to redirect my child when my child is showing aggressive or confusion in a certain situation. You know what I'm saying?
These services are not available at the daycare.
And what I have noticed, because I've been doing this for 13 years, I've been in the teaching business for 13 years. I got my degree from Hofstra, and somehow or another they got me into special ed. I don't know how that happened, but I guess God works out in mysterious ways. And what a program Hofstra has, and what they taught the students and what I learned and everything really has helped me today with what we're doing. And so over the last 3 years or so, we used to get like maybe one child with a little special needs, but it has gone to maybe 2 to 3, out of 5. The increase is, it's growing. It's growing. It really is. And I think as a community and the educational system itself, we really can't turn our backs to it. We can't pretend it doesn't exist, because it's happening. It's really happening. And remember, they're not going to stay children. They're going to grow up and they're going to become adults. And early intervention, that's what Hofstra taught me. Get them now when they're 2 and 3. show them how to work those building block skills when they have a situation that they have to do transitioning. A lot of them can't transition, they have breakdowns. We could go from breakfast to going outside to play, and it's a breakdown. So we show them how to emotionally express themselves, verbally, and, feel safe about the transition. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you
Go
very
ahead,
much,
Barry
ma'am.
wants to speak.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Anything else you'd like to add,
Any other
Counselor?
questions? Yes.
Go right ahead.
Are we, when you say in existence, what is that?
Yeah, the answer is, yes, there's a sign on the building. It is vacant. It is absolutely vacant. It is vacant.
Any other
We've been
questions
waiting,
from
we've
the
been waiting
board?
for this day
Any
and your
other
decision.
questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'm sorry. I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on a decision calendar.
Okay.
When the board renders its decision, you will be notified in writing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
welcome.
much for your time. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you.
Next, we have case 1355 of 23, West Hempstead, William Brown. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard's aggregate, construct two-story addition, wood deck with lift and cellar entrance, all attached to dwelling, also known as 220 Colony Street.
Yes, I do. My name is William Brown, 220 Colony Street, West Hempstead, New York, 11552. I'm the owner of the residence.
Go on.
Good afternoon, Chairman of the Board and members of the Board. My name is William Brown. Like I stated, I'm seeking a variance for a lot area occupied, the side yard aggregate, to construct a two-story addition with a wood deck, with also a wheelchair lift and a cellar entrance. All of this is attached to the dwelling, the west side of Colony Street, north of Plymouth Street. I'm seeking this variance for my 14-year-old son who has cerebral palsy. He's currently in a wheelchair, and he's growing larger, and it's becoming difficult to use facilities for him. Right now, currently, I have my bathroom upstairs, so I need to add an addition onto the rear of the house for a bathroom for him. None of the alterations will be to the front of the home, so it will not disturb the appearance of the street or the neighborhood. It's a hardship for me. That's why I'm doing this addition, due to my son's condition. I've owned the property since 2006, and I plan to stay there. It's not, a house flip or anything like that. This is my one and only home. The basement entrance is for wheelchairs that I use for running. I have different types of wheelchairs for him and standers. So it's a little heavy equipment, so I need that access to the cellar to. Does it have some sort of?
Lift.
No, it's a standard. To put the equipment, and I still do carry him downstairs, to use some of the equipment that I have down there. Yes, physical therapy equipment. Some of the larger equipment that I have for him.
I'm curious, sir, are you an architect or an engineer?
No, I'm not.
You're doing a very good job.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The lift is up to the deck for the first floor, and then the wheelchair will come into the rear of the building, which is inside the house, and then he can maneuver the wheelchair within the premise. and also the ADA-compliant bathroom will be in the rear of the house.
So, sir, I just want to go over for the record the variances that you request. You want lot area occupied, normally it's 27.5%. I think it says you're requesting 37.4%.
For the
You're
rear,
currently at 33.95, and you're requesting that two-story addition, so it'll move you up to 37.4.
is that for the rear you have? Minimum
That's
rear
for the
yard?
lot area occupied.
Area occupied.
And then, that's what the chart says. And then on your side yard, you need 5 on each side yard, and I lost the little glass, so,
I'm not sure. My architect
Okay.
submitted a revised site plan, I believe.
when did he submit that?
Let's see. That date is 3/29 of '23. Is that the same site plan you're working off of?
I have no idea, it's so small, oh, wait. 3/3, this one, the last edit was 3/30/23, so that's after.
That's,
All right.
yes, that's
So
correct.
let's just get the numbers on the record. So that one says proposed, I think it says 37, it's a 9 and a 7.
37.4.
Side yard, you need a minimum of 7.5. You have a 7.6.
Then he wouldn't need a
Proposing.
variance.
I don't see the 37.4. I have a larger one if you'd like to see it.
That's okay, I'm okay.
Really?
What do you see it as?
The side yard,
No, the 37 was on
It's
the
37.4.
lot area occupied, but he said he doesn't see it.
it's on the what part?
Lot area occupied.
Lot area occupied?
If we just agree that this is the accurate one.
Okay, we'll agree to that.
So 37.4% lot area occupied you proposed. Minimum side yard 7.5 and 7.6 now.
Yes, that's correct.
You're proposing 2.95, so.
Yes.
Figure that out. And side yard aggregate, you need 15. By the way, I think the 7.5 is wrong.
I think so, too.
You need 15. You have existing 16.85. You're proposing 12.19. Let me just see where that 2.95 is. Oh, okay. The 2.95 is because of the cellar entrance. Other than that, you maintain 7.22 on that side. So those are basically the variances that you're requesting.
That is correct.
Have any other questions from the board?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. You'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered. Some of the decisions will be made this evening.
Maybe.
It sounds to me like time is of the essence for you.
Yes, it is.
So if you'd like to call tomorrow to the office and find out whether or not your case was decided, maybe after 10 o'clock, at least you could find out whether it was decided or whether, there's further inquiry needed.
Thank you
Second.
very much.
Thank you.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions?
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Next, we have case 332 of 22, Point Lookout, 70 Lido Boulevard 2, LLC. Waive off-street parking, maintain roof over with rear yard variance, special exception for proposed outdoor dining for existing restaurant, AKA 70 Lido Boulevard, doing business as The Point.
Yes. Good afternoon. Appearing for the applicant, Howard Avertine, 2116 Merrick Avenue, Merrick.
Elisa Di Stefano Casera, 11 Mineola Avenue, Point Lookout.
R. Morgan Casera, 11 Mineola Avenue, Point Lookout, New York.
Good afternoon. Mr. Averty.
Yes, sir.
Rochelle.
This is the application of 70 Lido Boulevard 2 LLC for variances required in order to increase outside dining capacity and to maintain an outdoor canopy. The premises under application is located at the northwest corner of Lido Boulevard and Garden City Avenue in Point Lookout It has a street address of 70 Lido Boulevard. It is also known as Section 61, Block 18, lots 16 through 18 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. The premises has dimensions of 60 feet by 100 feet and is developed with a 1- and 2-story concrete and frame structure. The first floor is interior seating for the Point Restaurant. The second floor has 2 legally non-conforming residential apartments. By this application, the applicant seeks variances required in order to legalize an existing outdoor canopy for seating and a waiver of off-street parking requirements. As the board, I'm sure, is aware, a restaurant has been operated at this location with a waiver of off-street parking requirements since 1983, so that's 50 years. In 2015, the board granted a waiver of off-street parking requirements as well as a special exception to accommodate outdoor seating. It was 2015. I'll give the case numbers. Sure. Well, just for the record, we had case number 945 of 2015. That was the special exception for the proposed outdoor dining for the existing restaurant. That was the front, yes, and side. And then under case number 946 of 2015, there was the waiver of off-street parking. And under case number 947 of 2015, there was a special exception to maintain an outdoor walk-in box in conjunction with the existing restaurant. The conditions associated with the approvals were that the applicant needed to comply with the specific plans that were approved as part of that application, and it also specifically delineated that the waiver of off-street parking was for 44 required off-street parking spaces as determined by the building department at that time.
44.
44, yes, and that, correct. We need 57. That's the canopy in the rear. The building department didn't create a calculation. They concluded that 57 were required, so I used what is left of my sense of deductive skills to compute that they calculated 39 additional occupants in the, under the canopy, because originally as part of the 2015 waiver, the plans that were approved depicted 60 occupants inside, 30 in the front, and 34 on the side, plus the 2 employees. That, correct. Exactly. And that turns into the, they did not, it just said in the rejection how many spaces were required. 13 car, further deficiency based upon the 2015 approval. I'd also just like to mention there were some folks here before, and we met with them outside, and I think they misinterpreted what the notice meant. They were of the impression that the relief we were seeking here today was to modify the no parking restrictions on their street because we didn't have enough parking. Therefore, we were trying to seek parking on the street, potentially in front of their homes, and we know there's no parking permitted on most of, except for in the Lido area and a certain distance in from Lido on the streets. But most of Point Lookout, there is no street parking permitted. So they were concerned that that was the relief we were seeking. We explained to them that that was not the case and that we were simply trying to legalize the existing canopy and legalize the seating, which was, it was all started during COVID, and the board's very familiar with that whole period and what happened with outdoor dining to try to make it so that businesses could survive the pandemic.
Mr. Albertine,
Yes.
since you're on that, just for the record, so it reflects, I am reviewing right now a number of email messages sent to them under the category of opposed, and almost entirely the issue is don't grant another parking variance, et cetera. And I feel confident that you're exactly correct, especially since they told you that they were interpreting this parking issue as one in which the request was to change the parking in front of the
Right.
house.
The way
That
they...
pretty much answers every opposition.
Correct, and the way they interpreted the public notice was to say, well, wait a minute, if you can't provide the parking you're requiring, you want to make parking available on the street where it's not presently available. And
We get that from time to time.
Understood, and we explained that that's not the case. We also further explained that this board wouldn't have the authority to issue such a directive anyway.
Oh, we can do whatever we want.
Yes, you can. As far as the...
limits, within limits.
As far as the hours of operation, it's contemplated to be noon to midnight, 7 days. There are 6 employees. The plan is to use the seating in the canopy, weather permitting, year-round. And in addition, just so the board is aware, Mr. Casara, one of the principals, owns the property at 34 Garden City, which is a legal 2-family home, and in that home are 2 of his employees, so they won't need a place to park. And in addition, there are 2 driveways available for use by other employees, so they can accommodate 7 to 8 cars at the home there, which they will. Now, we would respectfully not want to make that a condition, because you don't know what the future brings in terms of whether he'll continue to own that house or whether it'll inexorably be linked to the property. But that is the plan to help minimize the impact, if any, of the requested relief.
Mr. Albertine?
Yes.
So the manner in which the request is, the manner in which the applicants wish to use the premises, how long have they been using it that way? In other words, I'm trying to get to how much of a change from how it's been operating this proposal is, or, as you said, since COVID at least, how long has it been operating successfully in the fashion in which they request now?
I'll let Mr. Casara answer that question. We'll just give your name and address for the record.
Mo Casera, or R. Morgan Casera, principal owner, and since we opened back up after a shutdown from COVID, we've used the outdoor space, as all restaurants have, for any outdoor space that was available. So it has been operating and functioning in the town and the community now for...
Couple years?
Yeah, not quite 2 years, but since we opened back up.
And has there been, to your knowledge, any adverse impact from the use of the outside area?
No, I actually think it's actually improved. We built, we've made it almost as soundproof as we can. There's no bar back there, there's no live music. We've really changed the culture of the restaurant, so it's really a restaurant, and we're not even there late night at all. So we've really made it more of a restaurant. It's really just excess space, especially during rainy days in the summer, that we'll use the outdoor space. But nothing other than that, no bars, no late night activity or anything like that. We've completely changed that and gotten away from that.
We also require a rear yard variance for the canopy, and if you note on the site plan, you'll see that it is roughly the same rear yard setback that was created by virtue of the walk-in refrigeration box that was approved in 2015, plus there is permitted PVC fencing surrounding the rear of the property, so there is no impact at all from the requested rear yard variance.
Mr. Albertine, you're aware that there are two open permits that are not in point, 2 permits in 2021, interior alterations to an existing restaurant, and then there is one 21-5814, supply and install. Those will be closed out?
Yeah, I spoke to Mr. Casera about those. If you notice, the search sheet, I believe, is dated from 2021. He indicates to me that those permits have been closed in the interim. I will have him verify that with the building department, but he indicates to me that those are closed and certificates have been issued with respect to both of them.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Motion?
I move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Avertine, you and your clients will be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
You? In favor? Any opposed?
Okay. The next case is a reopening. It's case 24917 through 25117, Baldwin. JS Sunrise Realty LLC, use variance for storage of motor vehicles in Res B District, special exception for storage of motor vehicles in Business District, permission to park in front yards on Sunrise Highway, Harrison Avenue, and Grand Avenue, and waive off-street parking, maintain 6-foot-high fence in front yards on Sunrise Highway, Harrison Avenue, and Grand Avenue, and located in clear sight triangle. Southwest corner Sunrise Highway and Harrison Avenue, running through Grand Avenue, also known as 746 Sunrise Highway.
And just for the record, members of the board, if you recall, this matter was reopened for consideration of an extension of time. The extension of time was timely filed, however, there was quite a few of them. We recalled Mr. Minerva in here to explain the reason why so many extensions had to be filed.
Mr. Minerva.
Yes. Dominic Minerva, Minerva and D'Agostino, 107 South Central Avenue, Valley Stream, New York. Good afternoon. As the board may recall, variances were granted to permit the storage of motor vehicles at 746 Sunrise Highway in Baldwin. I'm here to request a one-year extension of time of the current variances. The applicant owner, JS Sunrise Realty LLC, entered into a contract of sale with Baldwin Jazz LLC, care of Breslin Realty Development Corp. That contract was contingent upon Breslin obtaining approval for a mixed-use development in the Baldwin Overlay District. It took quite some time, but Breslin has obtained approval from the town board on December 6, 2022, under resolution number 1416 of 2022, for a mixed-use development, commercial on the first floor, and 4 stories of apartments for 215 residential apartments. So this property will be redeveloped. I'm going to submit a copy of that resolution to the board as applicant's Exhibit A. They have approximately 1 year left on the contract to obtain any and all additional approvals that they need. This is along a state and a county road, at which time that there will be a closing, and the seller, applicant, is required to give vacant possession with removal of all automobiles. So we're requesting the 1 year extension so that they can complete the contract requirements and close title, and this property can be redeveloped.
So when will we know for sure, because this case just keeps hanging on here?
Well, the approval's in, so the town board approved the project.
The housing project?
Yes,
So when will we know for sure that this can be put to bed?
1 year.
Will you know for sure in a year?
Well, they have 1 year is how long they have under the contract to close. So hopefully, 1 year from now, I am back here telling you we don't own it anymore and we don't need any more extensions.
Okay, Mr. Minerva,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions from the board?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be
I
placed.
just have a question.
Sorry.
Have you
I'm
been at the
drawing-
property lately?
I've driven by, yes, I drive home that way along Sunrise Highway.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not kept up, still not kept up too well. So maybe some of that junk can be removed and garbage.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I will inform them, I will remind them of the conditions, that it has to be kept neat. I will remind them.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I assume it's motor vehicles being stored on a
It's not
dirt
completely with motor vehicles.
lot, so
It's like
I'm assuming you're talking about,
It's the cars now. The front, there were no cars the last time I went by there, which was maybe a week ago. But there's just garbage.
accumulation of garbage.
Garbage, you know, the fence is kind of smacked in at places, and, you know, just so they clean it up.
Okay, yeah, you know, it's an inventory storage lot, so there's nobody there
Right, they
working, but
should be now.
I'll tell them the issue is the accumulation of garbage, and you said the fence?
The fence.
Yes. I will try my best.
Well, maybe we should make it a one-month grant until the cleanup is done.
How about a one-week grant?
I will get them to clean it up.
How about we hold it on reserve until they clean it up?
That's a good, how about we hold it on reserve until that cleanup is done?
Okay, yes,
Okay.
I will tell them to, that we had the hearing, and it's on reserve for the one-year extension, and they need to clean up the fence and the debris.
And they have 1 month to do it before we decide.
And then, when they tell me that they've done all the cleanup, I
Send us
will
a couple photos.
notify staff, and I'll
Nice,
submit
give us a few
photos.
photos, right?
Submit photos.
And it's garbage, it's the fence, it's all the obvious stuff that the community doesn't want to look at.
Understood.
Well done, Mr. Minerva.
Good job, Mr. Minerva.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Minerva, you be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered, which won't happen until we get the
Second.
photographs.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions?
Thank you, Mr. Minerva.
Next case.
Take care.
Lastly, we have 102517 West Hempstead, 327 ILY LLC. Variance in off-street parking, special exception for permission to park in Res B District, use variance to install dumpster in Res B District, construct building for food market, also known as 327 Hempstead Avenue.
And Chairman and members of the board, similar to the previous case, this matter was reopened specific as it pertains to the parking variance. As I was informed by Mr. Leeper, there was 239F site plan review through the county, and the county, when they reconfigured the curb cuts, 1 or 2 spaces were eliminated. I know Mr. Leeper will be able to expand upon that further.
I think you covered everything.
Have opposition.
Oh. Well, you saw me this morning.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I'm Monty Leeper, architect, located at 414 Foxhurst Road in Oceanside. And I was the architect for the supermarket, IND Glot Market, which is at 327 Hempstead Avenue in West Hempstead. We obtained a building permit and were granted parking variances for that, The permit was issued in June 27th of 2018. The market has been open since 2020, beginning of February 2020, unfortunately without the benefit of having a certificate of occupancy because of the issue before us today, for which we're asking for the amended decision. Yes, this building is open and operating since February of 2020. The issue of the Nassau County Department of Public Works 239F actually ended up not being approved until a year and a half after the original permit, at which time the 239F actually asked for 3 spaces to be eliminated on the site. So we're here because of the amending of the original approval.
When did the county on the 239F tell you that your client that you needed 3, or they took out 3 more spaces? What was the year and date of that?
That was July of 2019.
19. Yeah, why did it, if your client was informed of that in 2019, and we're almost 4 years later, what's the story?
Well, actually, I tried to handle this in 2019, and the file was finally found after 2 years when one of the deputy commissioners left his office, left employment with the town, and they cleaned out his office and finally found the file. I could go into more detail because I kept trying to find this file so that I could follow through. And from that time period, COVID, of course, hit, and there were several times when I would have tried again and again, and there was either nobody there because people were working from home. So this finally started to be rectified about 8 months ago, and I have been meeting. I probably met with Frederick Jowitz maybe 6 times on this matter before the file was specifically given the objection necessary. And as a matter of fact, the letter which was sent February 7th was actually written by the Commissioner of the Department of Buildings, not by me.
Has your client kept up with the extensions of time up to now?
Yes, as far as I know. I don't know what there were any, but we, like I said, we were trying to close this out. What ended up happening was that the permit originally depicted that there were going to be 45 spaces, and now it's reduced to 42, with 32 spaces provided. So there were 42 required. 42. Well, originally, before the amendment, it was 45. It was reduced, yes, and through the discussions with the Commissioner of the Building Department, Frederick Jowitz, it was reduced. The calculation was amended to 42 spaces required with 32 provided.
And when did that happen?
That was within the past year after the file was found, and we were able to then get this under discussion again.
Okay, I'm sorry for my ignorance. So it was granted, how many were provided in the prior, in the grant?
They were originally provided 35 spaces. The county took away 3 spaces in order to have a lane when you enter from Hempstead Avenue of a minimum of 20 feet into the property that they required. And matter of fact, the part of this letter, which was written, like I said, by Frederick Jowitz, mentions that the requirements were modified long after approvals and permits were obtained. And the fact was that none of the municipalities were given notification of such change, that it was never disseminated to municipalities, towns, and villages across the county. And that's the statement in this letter.
But when you say the county took those spaces, do you mean the county actually, some sort of, eminent domain idea? Or you mean the county said, we don't like this configuration unless you change it? The county didn't take the land.
The county insisted on eliminating 3 parking spaces in order to have a further distance for cars to come off the street before encountering a car backing out of a parking space. So they eliminated.
Like the configuration. And the only way we're going to find this configuration acceptable is if you have a larger area, the cars backing up, whatever it is. So
That's correct.
in an effort to please the county, to comply with the county thought was a better layout, the applicant eliminated 3 spots. Right?
That's correct.
Right, like the county took them. Okay. So the county did that when?
They did that in 2019, in July of 2019.
And then you were coming back to the town and the file was lost?
Yes, I returned to the town when we had that decision, and brought this to the attention of the plans examiner and the deputy commissioner and the acting commissioner, and the file couldn't be found, and the issue was tabled till they could find the file.
Okay.
That's why this has taken this long.
I get it. I think the people here get it. So the county in their administrative review said, we don't really like these spaces, we're going to take them away. If the board grants the extension of time, how much time do you need to get your certificate of occupancy?
As long as the building department can act quickly enough on this, I'm hoping it would be within a few weeks.
And you'll act quickly upon it?
I will act immediately because I want to get this done. And to be honest with you, I'm the only person who was really pressing for this to finally happen. I was turned away many, many times over the past few years because the file couldn't be found, and I would be notified if they found the file. And I was insisting on even recreating the file from my own records, and because of COVID, that didn't happen. So I'm the only person who was actually insisting that this be done, other than the owner.
Okay, the building's in operation, it's being used?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Talk about the location of the dumpster. We're going to hear it. Use variance to install a dumpster. Use variance to install a dumpster in the Res B district. Okay, folks.
My name is Patrick Lapp. I live at 163 Spruce Street in West Hempstead. Before I start talking, I would like to see where the 3 spaces that he wants to put back is on the property. He hasn't shown us that.
He doesn't want to put it back.
He can't put them back, so then what is he looking for?
When they got the site plan review, if I'm wrong, from the county, so they look at it also, we look at it, they look at it. The county said, we don't like the way it's lined up, so we would rather there be a little more space when people pull off the street onto your land for the other backing up cars, so there's not, so we prefer you make a wider lane there, which it resulted in eliminating 3 of the parking spots. So they came back to us because our grant originally had 3 more parking spots.
Okay.
So they had to come back and say, hey, guys, will you still let us keep operating because we took out 3 spots to please the county.
Okay.
To have a bigger lane so you don't back up on the street.
Okay, so
3 spots.
Can I interject something that, again, let me just repeat, this was a change the county made in its policy that it had not previously even notified any municipality in Nassau County about. And there are no other properties that you could find within a mile or 2 of this property that even has this same requirement for the distance into the property.
Wasn't it a function of the county not liking the flow as to the configuration?
No, it was the county passing a policy that they would no longer accept having a pull-up aisle into the aisle from the artery, from the street.
Mr. Leeper?
That's it right there. You want to show it to him?
Yes.
Thank you. That'll help. And since then, just to interject also, I have...
Mr. Leeper, stop.
Okay.
Gentlemen, ladies.
Hey, yep, yes.
That, you're looking at an iPad, I'll call it, that shows actual picture of the property. Mr. Leeper just verified that that little grassy area that, at the driveway, are in fact those 3 spots that were eliminated by virtue of the county under their approval.
All right.
That's what the change is. Correct, Mr. Leeper?
That's correct.
And that's the only change that there is.
That's correct.
Okay, so he has 2 parking spaces that are in the back right corner of the lot, where his dumpster is, where your board said that should have been parking spaces. When I was originally here 4 years ago to contest with them about building this building, we came to an agreement that on the architectural plans, the dumpsters would be placed against the building instead of against the residential property lines. He never followed through with where that dumpster was to be placed. I have told him multiple times the dumpsters would be placed, that it was supposed to be placed against the building line. He did not do it. I went and tried to get in touch with you.
Okay, hold on.
Mr. Lieber?
Where was the dumpster in the approved plan, and where is it now?
I have a picture of where the dumpster is on the back right corner. You could also see it in Google Earth Images.
All right, and I see it on the plan that's before me. When you say the agreement was for the dumpster to be against the building,
Yes, I actually
Was
spoke
that-
with you 4 years ago when we came into an agreement that the dumpster would be against the buildings to keep rodents and noise to a minimum as they developed.
okay, when you say there was an agreement, was it something that was said, you were here in court, was it something that was said on the record?
Yes,
And it was agreed to on the record, so it would be in the transcript?
yes.
Okay, Mr. Lieber, what say you?
Honestly, I would have to look back at the record. I'm not aware of specifics.
How about you, client?
Wanna-
Name and address if you haven't already given it.
I did. My name is David Izaki. My name is David Izaki. I'm the owner. I do remember in the last hearing that he insisted of a lot of other things, but
Let's
he.
stay on the dumpster.
Regarding the dumpster, we submitted a plan where the dumpster is going to be where it is now. There is no change of the original plan.
The original plan showed the dumpster in the back
There
right
was no
corner.
change.
Then when I discussed it with the owner and with the architect, they agreed to put the dumpster against the building line.
Time out.
Do you recall agreeing to that?
Show that to Monty.
I never agreed to,
Okay. Mr. Vogel, we'll get the transcript. This gentleman said it's on the. All right, so we'll address the dumpster issue by way of the transcript.
I-
And figure out, because that seems like a very reasonable accommodation, and one that we from time to time have when commercial real estate abuts
Yes.
residential, and the rodent issue, the smell. that-
Yep. Also, so one of my neighbors couldn't be here. His name is Giuseppe Limatone. He lives at 175 Spruce Street. He wrote a letter that he would like me to read. I have the original letter that I can give to you.
Just a second.
Okay.
Mr. Lieber, does the dumpster show
That's where it is.
that's where it is.
that's where it is?
What he says about it, what the picture says.
The dumpster in the approved plan.
Exactly where it is right there. But the question is, was that something that we all sort of like, he's saying that I was aware of it at the time, I have no even recollection.
Obviously.
But if it was on the transcript and it was part of the process of agreeing, and as the board, if we had discussed that and move forward with that understanding, and if it fell through the cracks that the plan wasn't changed, despite the fact that all parties were in agreement, we'll be able to look back at the transcript and address that issue.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as I said, Giuseppe Limatone, who lives at 175 Spruce Street, he wrote a letter. Unfortunately, he's beginning an operation today. He could not attend this hearing. And I will be reading that letter when you're ready.
Go ahead, I think it's slowly enough that she's able to take it.
Absolutely. My name is Giuseppe Limatone, and I live at 175 Spruce Street with my son. Over the past few years, I have been woken up countless times due to the dumpsters being picked up at all hours of the night. I have seen rats running through my backyard. I have to deal with damage done to my property when a fence was installed and leveled below the grade of my yard. The dumpsters for I&D Glatt were never placed in the agreed-upon area in the original plans against the store. The owner of I&D Glatt has faked being neighborly to make sure he gets what he wants from the people who are his neighbors. Please consider deeply what he is requesting and how it will actually affect the people who live in this neighborhood, and not how he says it will affect us. I have that letter also. It's signed by him if you would like it.
So since you have a break for a moment, we have now, we have limited papers here for some reason. So, but I do see here a plot plan, the date of which I cannot determine, but it does show the dumpster not in the order that the other paper is showing, that is where it, I believe, is in fact now physically, but the same side of the property, but against the building. Now, is that the location that you understood it to be?
Yes.
Agreed to? Okay, so it's that, here, let's give this one to that gentleman.
He has it.
No, I want
I don't want to
Chairman
move
in
it.
that.
I need a special $5,000.
For the record, Mrs. D'Amato, the
slab.
Oh,
the date on the plot plan is 2/1/23.
I don't want to change
showing
it.
that, and
Here's
by
a
the
letter
way,
from Mr. Limatone.
hold on, I just want to mention that the first date of this one was
So that's a
2/18.
trash compactor. There's
2/18.
currently 2 trash dumpsters here in
And it
in
go-
spots
and that
26 and
is
27.
repeatedly to the most recent revision,
Okay.
which is 2/1/23.
So the trash should all be against the building. And that's the letter he wanted me to give.
As far back as 2/18.
Talking about 20 feet.
We found the one with the dumpster in the other.
No, he's not the neighbor. He's not the first one. He's the third one. This is him.
What are we going to do, gentlemen?
So while we're doing that, let the record reflect, council to the board has reviewed, is that the condition as written?
The condition as written is that the dumpster shall be located on the site plan to space number 27, where the dumpster was originally put on the first plan, which was the office space. So they'd be putting the dumpster against the,
Where it is?
that's
So
the condition set up.
the picture, the diagram I gave you, does it show the space numbers on it?
Yes.
Okay, so 27 is the third one in against the building.
27 is, no, 27 is the back west corner.
Okay, so, oh, really?
Oh, wait,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
That's interesting. I can see that.
Yeah, it's back at George.
Now,
Is that north?
okay, now we
Yeah,
have
it's
an
north.
interesting thing, because now that makes that 27. Hold on.
Monty,
No, Mr. Bowman, look.
can a guy move it over here, and that's the end of it? Come on.
This says 27, which is
And?
there now. Well, he don't move it.
Sir,
Look, see that?
you don't need to come up.
27 is here. We have a
We-
site plan with it there.
I believe that the board is going to want you to put that dumpster against the building as they foresee it, or both dumpsters.
And the council to the board has informed us that the language about 27, which now we have all kinds of competing papers which keep renumbering, but as Mr. Pellegrini indicated, the intent is the same, and the idea is that you move the dumpster to where it should be, or we all agree, even if it's just from this moment forward, and then you don't lose a parking spot because you put the parking spot where the dumpster is.
It's your call, right now. Otherwise,
I-
we'll make the decision.
We submitted the plan with the
I don't,
dumpster, but I spend extra money to have concrete underneath the dumpster that the pavement's not, it's extra $5,000 for the dumpster to be where it is now and where we agreed on.
I'm sure you save that money in road control.
Hold on,
Again,
what are you saying about the 5,000?
I'm gonna say it.
It's gonna have to come.
In order for me to have a dumpster in the right, for a long time, it costs me extra money. Why? Because the dumpster cannot be on a regular pavement. It has to be on a concrete in order not to damage it. I made
Not to damage the dumpster or the?
the pavement,
We understand.
the road, because the truck's coming with their
Okay.
thing and they take it and they dump it. So that's a county require. So
Okay.
I left here in order, the last hearing, in order to please him. There was no anything, I didn't change anything. I put it where it's supposed to be, where it was be, and where you guys approved it. I didn't do anything different.
So,
He asked for it and he never got a granted from you guys to get it, even back
do you
then.
recall him asking about that in the transcript?
I remember, I'm gonna say it, he complains about rats that's not
No, no.
existed. He
I
complains
wanna
about the
stay on
dumpsters.
Do you recall?
Dumpster, yes. No.
You don't recall
He
this
didn't want anything to do with the supermarket as far as anything.
I don't doubt it, but I'm not asking you that. Do you recall a discussion about moving the dumpster against the building?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and so it sounds to me like what you're saying is, yeah, but but you guys didn't write it out, and we played fast and
That's-
loose, and I put it where I want it anyway, because other than the pad.
No, I'm sorry to cut you, but I'm not the kind of person that would do something like this. I actually tried to please this guy as much as I could. Even if it's a phone call to the sanitation department, don't come in this hour, don't come in that hours, and I did that, and I did to please him. But when we left at the last hearing, there was no agreement to move it towards the building. He asked to move it to the other corner where Mr. Giuseppe is. As long as it's not going to be near him, he didn't care where it is. And we submitted the plan where it was, you approved it, and that's where I put it. Now you're asking me to move it?
We have plans with the dumpster in 2 different locations. We have the plans with the numbers of spaces all reconfigured. So to be honest, we'll just decide this from this moment forward. We'll figure out where we think the dumpster ought to be in connection with your request here to amend your decision. When we amend the decision, we'll decide what makes the most sense. You won't lose any additional parking if we move the dumpster. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've been on this board 18 years, and I don't think it's a heavy lift to ask. I'm sympathetic that it will cost you $5,000. It should have been there to begin with. And to be honest, to move a dumpster on a commercial property closer to the commercial part of the property and away from the residents is, to me, a very reasonable request. I'm only one of 5, but we'll figure out how it should be. There's no sense us arguing about what happened in the past. And we'll review the transcript.
Okay.
Is that it, sir?
Okay,
That's all I have besides everything. I agree with everything that Mr. Giuseppe said as far as the dumpsters, the noise, rodents, light pollution. I have looked at Giuseppe's backyard. There is a real issue there with the fence, but I'll let Giuseppe fight his own battle. Basically, as Giuseppe showed it to me, I have pictures on my phone. When they graded the lot, they graded the lot below Giuseppe's grade, and the fence now, there's a 2-foot drop from Giuseppe's yard to the fence line, and there's no there's no retaining wall or anything. There's only a few 2x6s that the contractor put up when they put the fence up.
Wait, so his land goes...
I can show you the pictures if you'd like.
Fence is here, goes to the top of his land, and the commercial property is lower?
Yes, so the fence line is here, and Giuseppe's yard is about like this. So there's a drop here.
There's no retention.
I can show you the pictures if you'd like.
can I say something?
I can't take
We're not.
Absolutely, that's fine, okay.
Mr. Giuseppe himself, he pretend that he write the letter. I saw him last week, and I asked him to come, and he couldn't come because he's too old. And he asked me for a job, if I can give him an hour or 2. We're friendly. He watched my property in the back. He makes sure that there's no, next door there is a frack house for students. And they have their own parties every Friday night, Saturday night.
Well, we're not
Which
discussing
is a
the frat house.
which is a whole
We're
different thing.
discussing
So he
a-
watched the back of my properties, and he makes sure, and I'm in a very good term with him, and I don't know how this letter can be written and signed by,
So if you're on good terms with Mr. Giuseppe...
very good.
Okay. What is has he mentioned the fence issue this gentleman is...
No, he thanked me for fixing his fence. I put the fence. There was no fence before. It was a dump before, and now he has a fence.
Okay,
So-
I'm going to make a decision. We're cutting off debate on the fence. Ladies, do you have anything you'd like to add? Go right ahead, ma'am.
My name is Denise Johansson. I live at 168 Spruce Street, and I've lived there for 42 years. I've never been woken up between 2 and 4 in the morning with that dumpster crashing onto the concrete, okay? They come and they empty the dumpster all hours of the night. Recently, on the corner of Hempstead Avenue and Spruce, there have been multiple car accidents because people are pulling out of the grocery store. There are delivery trucks doubled parked on Hempstead Avenue, delivering stuff to the store. And cars have to go around the delivery truck into the oncoming traffic, and that corner has been a disaster lately. Tractor trailers delivering food to the grocery store. I don't know. I don't sit at the corner. I've just seen it multiple times. In the middle of the day, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Absolutely, I don't think she's applying. I don't think I'm the one who tractor trailer coming to me. I have one company that delivered one tractor trailer, and he made sure to back up into my property 100%. And maybe there is other businesses in the neighborhood that they do it too. I have one delivery per month. In a tractor trailer I'm talking about. Correct. Correct. Included. I'm sorry? Correct. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. It's 3 times a week. And then the cardboard is also 3 times a week. On same day. Not sure. Yes, I'll do my best. Absolutely.
Now, one other thing. Where that 3 spaces were taken away by Nassau County, it's a lovely-looking garden, have to admit. I think maybe did Nassau County take away those spaces so that other cars could maneuver in that area? So if it's a garden, cars can't maneuver in that area. Right. But he put a garden in. And a garden's lovely, it looks very pretty, but you can't use that space for traffic. Do you know what I'm saying?
The county actually marked up our plan and insisted, and the answer is yes.
Okay. I find it hard to believe, but
It's
just makes no
unfortunate.
sense.
It's unfortunate that having sat through those meetings with the county, and I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, if you had sat in those meetings too, it was sad to watch the county basically say, we don't care what the town actually decided. So we have this mixture of oil and water here, and unfortunately, we would never get through the building permit process if we didn't give in to what they demanded. And they actually marked up these plans, including, by the way, and I apologize for the not interjecting sooner, but the location of the dumpster was also demanded by the county. And I frankly agree with you, and I'm sorry that it's going to cost you $5,000. I understand it, and I just want you to know, historically, that was part of the agreement with the county. Again, I apologize that it happened, but this is what happened.
I have one more point. I wanted you guys. That's correct. No, that's.
Again, it was proposed. I don't recall what the minutes say. I know that we changed it, and I know that there was discussion. However, I don't know what the minutes say. I only know historically that at least 1.5 years after the approval by the town, including the zoning board and the building department, the county said, why is the dumpster at the back of the property? That's where they wanted it. So I just want you to know that's part of the history of how this came about.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay,
Can I
thank-
just,
Go
can I
go.
just,
Yeah, I'm going home
can
to
I
take my
just,
shot.
can I just point one more thing? If I may come to you, I just want to show you the air picture of Google. So this is my dumpster, and this is the next door's dumpster. Well, that's where they, on yours, they buy that one. Right, so this is next door's dumpster, 4 other dumpsters. So you're talking about a fence, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 dumpsters next door, and you want to between this to here.
Yeah, because the idea is that if the trash removes the smell
closer to the store.
Yes, just,
And
it's away from the
then all of
residents.
this pavement, the curb that we made special is all gonna be gone, because nobody can park here anymore.
Well, once it's gone, they can park there.
This is a curb. This is a curb that we made in order to the.
I understand.
So you're talking about a big expense.
Understood. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the matter will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. If you want to give us Mr. Giuseppe's, okay, well, then he will also get a copy.
Do I have a second?
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Safe home.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
Are you staying
No.
Renumbered the parking
Yes, they did what they wanted, and now I have to change it. I don't understand this. I really don't understand this. I'm gonna have to fight for another.
Because the county insisted on how much.
I did exactly what they wanted.
Can you do decisions, please?
Are you having fun?
Thank you.
Bye.
Monty?
Get out of here by 5 o'clock.
Behave yourself. I know, it's funny.
He's with the town attorney.
Yes,
He's gonna work.
we'll clarify it and
First
everybody
case.
will be unhappy.
First case, 268 of 23, near Belrose, Sonia Escobar. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move case 268 of 23 near Belmore, Sonia Escobar at 245th Street and near Belrose be approved as requested with normal two-family conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Any opposed? Case 269 of 23 Baldwin, Letitia Lee and Jacqueline Cato Lee. Do I have any discussion amongst the board members? If not, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion as it relates to 269-2023 in Baldwin, Letitia Lee and Jacqueline Cato Lee, as you previously described it, affecting the property located at 2506 Parkview Place, be approved as requested, same conditions, 5 years.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Any opposed? Case 270 of 23 Baldwin, Trevor R. Jones Jr. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that case 270 of 2023, the renewal of the two-family for Trevor Jones at 654 Westminster Road in Baldwin be granted for a period of 5 years with the same previously imposed conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next case, 271 of 23 East Meadow, Shina and Tariq Ahmed Sheikh. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move case 271 of 2023, located at 1400 East Sally Court in East Meadow, be granted as requested with all open permits closed.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Case 272 of 2023 Belmore, Freeport Tax Co., Warren Gruberger. I think Mr. Pellegrini would like to inspect that.
Yes, I volunteered for that.
Thank you, sir. Next case, 273 of 2023, Joshua Greenstein and Jessica Handler Greenstein. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move case 273 of 23 in Woodmere, located at 325 Edward Avenue, be approved as requested.
There is some open,
Close out the open permits, even though I think he said they had been closed, but to verify that.
just make sure.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Case 274 of 23 Merrick, Mark Husbands Jr. and Danielle Edwards. It's a mother-daughter case. Do I have any discussion? I think we needed updated
Yeah,
plans.
Yeah, we're holding that for updated plans, showing all the doors or
Yeah.
something?
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to hold it. 275, 276, 277, 278 of 2023, Oceanside, Selena and Thomas Feinstein. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, let's see, 1, 2, 3. As it relates to case 275 of 2023, the shed, I move we grant that as requested with the usual shed conditions. As it relates to 276, the second accessory structure, which is also a shed, that we grant that with the usual shed conditions. As it relates to 77, the hot tub, usual hot tub conditions grant. And as it relates to the pool equipment, I move that we grant that. That's case 278 with the usual pool conditions. One second. But in granting all of these requests, I would like the board to, hold on.
I'd like to do what?
Hold on a second. It's there, it's 6. Mr. Chairman, I would actually move that we, these are all maintained, it won't inconvenience the applicant. I'd like to put this on reserve and have council look into a few other issues that we noticed on the plot plan, just to make sure that they're all properly there.
Okay.
I apologize.
Cases 279 and 280 of 2023, Barry Goldstein. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want to try and get one of these right. So as it relates to 279 and 280 of 2023, Barry Goldstein, variance is requested as you previously described them, affecting the property at 1487 Cleveland Avenue in East Meadow. I would move that we grant the variances requested, and as it relates to the wood deck, any wood deck conditions that we normally impose.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions? Case 281, cases 281 and 282 of 2023, Franklin Square, Joseph A. and Barbara A. Randazzo. I'm recused on this case.
All right, Mr. Chairman. So I will just moderate this. Is there any discussion among the board as it relates to the question, to the cases 281 and 282 of 2023? If there is no discussion, do we have a motion?
I move that case 281 to 282 in Franklin Square, Joseph and Barbara Randazzo at 126 Poppy Avenue in Franklin Square be granted with the usual mother-daughter conditions, et cetera.
Do I have a second?
et cetera.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Case
Opposed,
283,
abstentions. They all vote in favor, so-
2023, Miller. Russell Miller. Do we have any discussion?
There's one issue that I think we should at least consider. So I believe this pool would be as of right if it were set back 10 feet. The applicant wishes to set it back 5 feet, which is what's necessitating this board's grant of a variance if we're allowed to have it there. I'm not sure how the board members feel. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I thought one or more of the board members had raised it as an issue we should at least consider. What say you, Mr. President?
I have Joe written down here as well.
All right, what do you think I wrote?
They're teaming up on it, Kim.
The thing is, though, how far would it be set back away from the house? I mean, I think it might be a best location that they're proposing, because you don't want someone to step out of the house and flop into the pool, even though I have that situation in my house. Yes,
She missed one.
she didn't get any.
What are we going to do?
Well,
Any suggestions?
So I think,
Since we have done.
I think it's probably better where it is, Joe. But I'll leave that to.
I'll go along with you,
All right, so I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, 283 of 2023, Russell Miller, and affecting the property at 60 McCord Avenue. It's a request for a pool and the equipment in the side yard, well, one in the front yard, pool, side yard equipment. It's a corner house, so there's two front yards, so for the applicant, it is their side yard that we granted with the usual pool conditions. So my motion, Mr. Chairman, would be to grant the application with the
Do
usual
I have a
pool
second? With the
Seconded.
usual pool conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Case 284 of 2023, Seaford Thomas Frinzilas, also known as Athanasios Frinzilas. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that case 284, 2023, the Francilis' case at 2650 Ocean Avenue in Seaford be granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Case 233 of 23 in Elmont. Meacham 190 LLC. Construct a two-family dwelling. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I did look at that property over, since we last met. I was one of the people, I think, when we first heard the testimony or the partial testimony in the matter, who was concerned not just with the configuration with no garages, the basements, and the other aspects of the configuration proposed that sort of seemed to possibly invite a misuse by not necessarily the applicant, but a subsequent owner. That, and it seemed like it was a request to put a whole lot of stuff in a small area. However, since having visited the premises, it is bordered on one side by a legal two-family structure on a small piece of land, and on the other side by a large, older, not really dilapidated, but, commercial structure, like akin to a brick warehouse. I'm not sure what it actually functions as. And then the house itself that is to be removed, demolished, is in fair disrepair along with this large detached garage disrepair. And then there's a large piece of land, there's a piece of land suitable for the proposal. They've reconfigured the proposed structure, and those items combined have changed my mind. I think it is probably going to be a significant improvement to the area. So with that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I would move that case 233 of 2023 in Elmont Meacham 190 LLC affecting the property at 190 Meacham Avenue be approved as requested.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Bogle, can you incorporate all of Mrs. D'Amato's comments in that decision, even if it runs 37 pages?
Do you see what he wrote about me?
Case 242 of 23. That case has been adjourned to June 7th at 9:30 a.m. And now the star of the show. Case 265 of 2023. I think we should have Mr. Bogle draft something on this case.
100% agree. I don't think it's warranted.
Draft it. You want to vote on it? Let's vote on it.
You want to do
You
it?
don't need a vote? Yeah. Yep. All right.
We'll keep you busy. You stay out of
You
trouble.
need a job. All right. Case 285 of 23. Elmont, Amelet Lundy, DBA Day Use Restaurant, Bar and Lounge, Inc. Do I have any discussion?
Only that, I will say that counsel for the applicant didn't seem to be able to answer with specificity or certainty very many of the board's questions. But I did seem to glean from his responses that The proposal is 7 days a week, noon to midnight, no live music, which,
Couldn't fit.
and they have an application for alcohol. There's no bar. The uncertainty of the answers led me to be a little concerned that, you know, given that this is a parking variance, it does matter if you have a bar where people stand up, because more people are there, hence more cars. He referenced this 60 or something municipal lot next door, which on the materials said about 155 spots. I'm not sure, but, so I just want to make sure that we, I would suggest we prepare a draft grant, but that we spell out the no live music, the hours, the no, like, bar where people are gathering. Again, they're applying for alcohol, but, you know, the no bar means, you know, no bar stools, no bar area, because that would obviously affect our need for parking analysis.
Would you say that you only want a service bar?
Okay.
Of course,
as long as-
restaurant, bar, and lounge, by definition, includes a bar, so.
Yes, but this.
But you want a service bar as an adjunct to a restaurant?
Right, because
No
he,
bar stools, no.
yeah, no
whatever else is.
seating, right, well said. No seating and no actual, like, even standing at the bar, because again, that would affect our calculation as to, so I would recommend. Next.
Draft the grant, Mr. Burgos. 286, 287, 288, 289, 290,
We have to hold
291,
that for the,
292, and 293. We're going to hold that for an updated site
Yeah,
plan?
the
That
site
makes some
plans have
sense.
to be,
Big H.
needing accuracy.
Okay. 294 and 295 of 2023, Uniondale, Kids Are Kids LLC. Do we have any discussion?
Well,
Or as
I think
discussion?
that these two women should be commended for what appear to be, they are intelligent, they care about the community.
Is that germane to the
Yes, I
application?
do. I think they're really bringing to this community a service that is laudable. And I think there is sufficient parking, and the fact that they're picking up at least 50% of the children by independent, you know, they operate the van. The fact that there is some parking in the back, that there's a large parking lot across the street which has a crosswalk and a light for those, and that no one stays. I know Mr. Pellegrini had a concern, and I do somewhat share that people might double park to drop children off. I'd like that we, in our decision, to the extent, I would like to make a motion we granted. I'd like a decision that includes some sort of notification. She mentioned in her testimony that double parking won't be acceptable. Anyone double parking will not be allowed to be a part of this school. So to the extent that she can have that in her materials, in her intake processes, I would like us to mandate that she informs them, no double parking to drop the kids. It's not safe for the kids, it's not safe for the community, the other drivers. So on that note, Mr. Chairman, I would move that cases 294 and 295 of 2023 be granted as requested, with the conditions we've discussed and any other conditions council gleans from the transcript or the video, and that we try to get the decision out right away so she can get materials in. She has to actually be open by June 10th so as to not lose her, the grant that the state has given her to provide this service to the
Do
community.
I have a second?
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Case 1355 of 2023, and that is in West Hempstead. William Brown. Do I have any discussion?
Separate from me.
No, I have a motion. I move case 1355 of 2023, located in 220 Colony Street in West Hempstead, be granted as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
Gentlemen, would you please expedite that?
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, that gentleman needed,
To Mr. Brown. Whoa.
Case,
You might want to let him know, too, the guy. I mean, his son, he needs that for his son.
call him about 11 o'clock tonight. So, Case 332 of 22, because you can't wait till 10 a.m. 332 of 22, Point Lookout, 70 Lido Boulevard. Would anyone like to make a comment other than a certain person who lives in Lido Beach?
Okay, they don't, so I'll do it. I would just like to note that, well, we received a couple of email messages indicating opposition to the parking variance request. The applicant and his counsel spoke with a number of the people, 3 of the people who came in, and there was a misunderstanding. They were under the understanding, as he said, for the record.
He
They,
alleged there
well,
was
and it was written on the, so counsel, Mr. Abertine, to the applicant, indicated that after speaking with a number of the 3 of the people who were here, by the way, the only 3 people who were here, they all indicated that their misconception was that the request for a parking variance was a request for this board to change the no parking on the street in front of their house to allow parking, to allow, thank you, parking in front of their houses. And it was noted by those individuals on the sign-in sheet that they left, and they made a note, we left because we understand that that's not what the request was. That being said, there was no opposition here to the case. It's been operating as a part of community and in the manner in which it now requests for quite some time. And I would then move, first of all, Mr. Chairman, that the board adopt a negative declaration as to the CEQA determination in this matter.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Further, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that, again, 332 of 2022, 70 Lido Boulevard, that the board grant the request to waive additional off-street parking as part of the operation of the bar.
Second.
All in favor?
The-
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Cases 249, 250, and 251 Baldwin, we're going to hold that on reserve. And given the fact that the property is not being kept up, Mr. Minerva said that he would notify his client, and we'll hold it on reserve until we are provided with proof that the debris and the other eyesores adjacent to the property or on the property have been removed. Right, case 1025 of 17, West Hempstead, 327 ILY. I think we're going to hold that on reserve until we can review the prior testimony, make a determination as to where certain dumpsters on the property should be
Well,
placed.
even still, I think we should redraft a modification if it needs to be modified and put it against the building.
Yep,
And
we'll have them drafted.
draft
Rob,
a modification.
You're going to draft a modification on 1025.
Yes,
Right.
and also,
Review the
I just
testimony.
mentioned to council one thing that I just noticed we might want to check on that case. So the original request included a request, a use variance to install the dumpster in Residence B. I asked council to check where the residence part of the property starts and the business ends. So whether or not up against the building may be in the commercial business part. You know what I'm saying? Usually it's 100 feet back.
Yeah.
So, that's right. And put it up against, yeah, so we'll check that, so. That's it.
Oh, yeah, we'll be finished. Reserved decision. Council.
Case 199 of 23, concerning the Starbucks, I spoke with Mr. Vanessa. He wants us to hold it for a little bit longer. He's met with engineers. They're trying to get new plans out that describe those changes to allow them to have more space in the drive-through. I don't know if, Mr. D'Amato, do you want to wait on 6:30 of 2023 still?
Yeah, I just haven't read
Okay.
the revision.
There's a copy in chambers if you review. As for the spot, I did reach out to council for that. They said they're going to provide us with a rehearing request because of the prior testimony I discussed with the board stating that they intended on converting it to residences, and they never did. And I don't know if the board wants to speak as to 243 of 23, FCFC Realty.
You don't know what?
The board wants to.
I think
That's
it's,
the laundromat in Uniondale.
You have to go to the potty?
I can't.
Just give me half a second. Sure.
Difficulty with that one is, I was waiting for the transcript. So I could, yeah, I wanted the transcript so I could review it.
That's a good idea.
Pertaining to case number 206 of 23, I provided the copy with another draft grant. I removed the portion of the enumerated professions, one of them being massage therapist has been removed, and I also limited the number of concurrent occupants to 6.
All right, so I think, are we ready?
We are ready.
All right, Mr. Chairman, with regard to 206 of 2023, East Meadow, Dr. David J. Miller, property 467 Newbridge Road in East Meadow, given the changes that were made to the draft grant, I would move that we adopt the draft grant as the board's decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions?
Pertaining to case numbers 248 through 249 of 23, Janet O'Keefe, Secretary to the Board, Pat Owens and myself actually went on a personal inspection of the premises because we didn't want to wait for the building department to ensure that the pool enclosure was sufficient. I have photographs. They had the springs, they had the alarm system. It is a 6-foot fence. It is not forward of the dwelling.
Thank you both for doing
Yes.
that. Appreciate it.
Could you do the other 4 cases on the calendar?
Would someone like to make a motion?
Joe.
I move that case 248, 249 be granted as requested, and that they close all open permits.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions? Case 160 of 2023.
I need to get the information on the previous case. And I'd like, yeah, let me just do that.
Case, hold it. Case 163 of 23, JGAT LLC.
There was some looking into I did with this. I spoke with the building department regarding some of those spaces. The spaces in the front yard setback on Merrick Avenue were legal nonconforming as they existed prior to 1963 when the parking variance was first recorded by the town board. As to the spaces on Willoughby, those were never legalized. So it does seem that the building department did miss a parking in the front yard setback on Willoughby variance that would be required. If we remove those spaces, it means that they would only have 26 spaces as opposed to 31, where 36 is required. So it would be a 10-space variance as opposed to a 4-space variance. However, yeah.
My question is, if the board were to deny the parking in the front yard setback, both on, I don't care whether it is non-conforming on Willoughby, that's an out, because they need that.
Can you get it bigger?
That's what she said. The parking on, it turns.
I tried.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'll just
No,
watch.
no, that's all right. The alarm didn't go off yet. The parking on Merrick Avenue, Merrick Road, although they might be non-conforming spots, in my opinion as a, and I asked for an opinion with the New York State Building Code, that they don't provide enough separation between the curb stop and the windows on that side. It's
Those?
yes, it's a safety issue. I don't know.
They can put ballast up or something.
They could put back.
I did speak with Mr. Nierbecki, who does a lot of the commercial zoning.
Yes.
And he said while a space might not be required, ballasts may. He would need to actually know those measurements.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So if they replace the curb stops with ballast?
Yes, they're not allowed to actually have those curb stops in there at all. Those, according to Mr. Nierbecki, those are actually not permitted. They're allowed to have ballasts, but they're not allowed to have, even, it's like similar like a speed bump. You
Yeah.
can't have those on your private property.
Can someone just refresh my recollection since I don't know?
What do you got?
So,
That's up here. I brought the blind bar.
Yes,
wine
piano bar,
Piano bar.
piano bar. Billy Joel.
All right, so now, what are you saying about these spots in Willoughby?
These spots are illegal.
And so you're saying the building department missed the fact that if they want those, they need a front yard?
Right, parking in the front yard setback, and the lines extend over the sidewalk, which are not.
So if we eliminate those, we are at 30,
Has the spaces down here.
30, we go from 31 to 26, so it's a 10 space.
Yes, so, exactly.
We go from
And-
31 to,
The 6 spaces go to 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, so it goes to 25.
okay, so
And they're
now
required
what?
36, so 11 space variance.
You know what, I think, well, that seems to me to be a good idea, for starters, but I will say one thing. What I have found is when we do that, they park there anyway.
Oh, yeah,
And
because
so-
they've redone them.
And
They
what I,
redid they redid all the parking.
no, I mean, everyone does, I mean, in
That's-
general,
that's-
so
Yes.
what I, see how the
That's fine, but
traffic
we're
pulls
not
out here?
acknowledging it or validating it.
No, let me finish.
I
When the
can't.
traffic pulls
Not at
out
all.
here, I hate this parking that blocks their visibility, so I would be in favor of eliminating these spots and putting something there so they can't park. That's what I'm saying, because I have places along Austin Boulevard, and the guy moves the curb cuts, moves the curb, little curvy things, and they start parking there, and every couple of years I go, used to be Mr.
Edwards.
Wayne Edwards. Mr. Edwards, I saw your client remove the things again, they're parking there, and then it blocks, it's a safety issue because the people can't see the oncoming traffic. So I would be in favor of
Who
getting
cares
rid
if
of
they
these
park there?
spots
We're not
and
acknowledging
giving
it or
them a larger
validating it.
variance, but making them put something,
next I have the extensions of time, first of which being the Hanlon matter, cases 671 and 672 of 22, concerning property located in Oceanside. It was a second-story addition. They need an extension because they're still pricing out materials. Oh, sorry, it's the first time requesting an extension. Basically just material. I have that on reserve. Material costs is essentially the excuse that they, yep.
So these are all timely, 22, 21, 22, 23, 22. Secure permits, construction.
It was a Patrick Rogers case concerning property located at 64 Oswego Avenue, in which we permitted an extension in the rear yard. When he provided the plan, because it wasn't greater than 50% of the value of the house, he was not forced to raise it. However, the extension was located below the DFE. As a condition to that grant, they were required to receive a state variance, which I've been told by the building department was more of just a matter of reaffirmation because they would need it anyway, regardless of our condition. State variance to build below the DFE. No, and the alternative, Mr. Rogers has filed for a modification request to remove the condition requiring that they seek a state variance, as it was less than 50%, and our policy is not to require them to lift the house if it's less than 50% of the construction. It is by operation of law, however, it was included in the condition. So even if we remove the condition, he would still be required as operation by law to seek the state variance. However, he wants the condition removed from the decision.
Wait, which condition?
In our decision, the one that I wrote, there was a condition that applicant was to seek a variance from the state in order to build below the DFE.
Now, how did we ever come up with that? He must have said it or something. Even if.
Well, yeah.
Right, it's still.
Practically, yes, but the building department, I believe, at this point is holding it up, and he wants to move forward. He believes that if that condition is removed,
Then
that.
the building department will notice it.
In the
and they'll give
meantime,
it a
he's
permit.
Brown, who was his counsel, did bring it up in the testimony.
I wouldn't have known it.
Yeah, which is something that Mr. Rogers was not thrilled with.
Well, I don't. I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, as it relates to the property located at 64 Oswego Avenue and the letter received by the town, by our office, from Patrick Rogers, requesting that we remove a condition in a prior grant compelling the applicant to seek a variance from the state to build below the DFE. I move that that condition be removed from our grant as it is superfluous, and it is a condition that he is required to meet by operation of state law, enforced by state law, imposed by state law, that condition in our decision is not relevant to his obligations under state law. This by no means obviates him from doing so, but that is between he and the state. Second? You guys don't want to remove the condition? No. He still has it by state law.
No, he'll somehow no.
All right, so it fails.
State law, we agree with state law.
I only have two more things. The first thing I have, I don't know if you all